Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the fastest rising podcast in the wrestling media. We are here today with a special second annual edition of the Scoopies, our end of the year awards. We're going to be handing out some awards here today. Wrestler of the year, match of the year, most overrated. It's all here, and we're ready to give it out. We're ready to dish it. But before we get too far into it, I am one half of your hosting team. I am Micah. And joining me, as always, the historian of the Scoop Slam podcast. He's in his best three-piece suit. It's Ryan.
Yes, man, I'm just happy to be here for the prestigious Scoopy Awards, Micah. Man, it's been a year. It's been a year, definitely. And ready to hand them out, Micah. Ready to scoop some stuff and slam some stuff and just ready to talk about some wrestling.
It has been a while. Last week we did our special interview with NXT superstar Brooks Jensen. So make sure you go check that out. But it has definitely been a year. Just for us, even on the podcast, we've seen our numbers across the board go way up. WWE's business is way up. We're in a boom period, believe that or not. AEW sold out the reported biggest attendance ever. So,
yeah,
their houses are down. Punk came back, got fired, came back to WWE. The Rock came back, and somehow all of our predictions came true for the most part.
Even our offhand prediction that Vince would return, which we were joking about, and it actually happened.
So, I don't know if we're from the future. I can't disclose that information, but we'll see about our predictions later. I'm interested to see yours.
Yeah, we're going to get wild.
But we shocked the world last week with our interview. We're ready to shock the world again with our second annual Scoopies. Very prestigious, and we have a huge committee that takes care of it. There's only two of us, and we're ready to present them. So to start us off, we've got the most shocking moment of the year. And in Scoop Slam fashion, I'm going to let you start this off as I typically do with our reviews, our scoops and slams. So for the most shocking moment of the year, Ryan, for 2023, what you got?
I got a few honorable mentions before I get to the winner here. Man, this really could have been its own podcast. Because there was a lot of shocking moments this year, Micah.
Yeah.
CM Punk giving Jungle Boy a 3-piece and then, getting himself fired from AEW. That with a biscuit. Yes, he did. He that was a shocking moment, especially because it was happening during the event, and that was all people were talking about on the internet was the backstage brawl that was happening, and nobody was talking about the actual event. That was one of my honorable mentions. The all-in attendance for AEW. I think this is one of the only things we got wrong this year, Micah. We did not think they could sell this thing out, but
that's true.
We gotta give them credit where credit's due. They got at least close to the figure for a sellout, and they put more people in there than WWE has in its existence. Quote unquote, depending on who you believe. And I got something else as one of my honorable mentions, Micah. Something that happened, and it was so shocking. You had to call me in the middle of the night when it happened. I got Cody losing at WrestleMania. Still a questionable decision. I don't know if it was the right decision. Some people may say that it was because business went up when that happened. But seeing as how Roman hasn't wrestled much this year and hasn't been seen much this year, maybe a case can be made that Cody needed that win. It's debatable. It's very debatable. Very debatable. Got WWE sale to Endeavor as another honorable mention. Something that goes under the radar that happened. Yeah. Remember everybody was saying exactly. Everyone was saying that Saudi was going to come in and buy this thing. Everyone was down about that. And then Endeavor comes in and on the 12th hour and makes the purchase to put UFC and WWE under the same umbrella. something that I would never guess starting and going back to our first Scooby show. I mean, I never would have guessed that. But Micah, for my most shocking moment, and this is a downer, but I got Bray. I got Bray passing. This was a shock, man. It was heartbreaking when it happened. He just came back from that emotional comeback and leaving behind a fiance, 3 kids, and I mean, truly a legendary career he had. Well, he really probably wasn't even at his prime yet when you look at how long wrestlers wrestle nowadays. I mean, was he even 40, Micah? I don't know. I think he was like 36, 37, right?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit below.
Micah, losing Bray way too soon. That was still the most shocking moment of the year for me. Well, what you got?
So I definitely took that into consideration. I kind of went a different direction, but I do have something for that a little later. Definitely gut wrenching to see Bray pass, especially right after Terry Funk had passed too.
Yeah.
And really nothing had even come out. We had already had a health issue, but you think, maybe tore something. He just had the flu, COVID, a bad bout with COVID. Stuff like this happens. But what ended up happening with Bray was completely unexpected. But I kind of went in more of a positive light. For my honorable mentions, we pretty much have the same things. I put All In because I did not expect that from them, and I'm glad that it happened. So I don't mean to make that sound negative. It was a moment in time. I don't really think it could be duplicated. I know they got another show there this year, but still, just there's something about in that moment doing something like that that's special. The other honorable mention was Cody losing at Mania, just like you had. You pretty much touched all the bases on that, so I won't go any further. My most shocking moment of the year is CM Punk returning to WWE. Now, I know me and you basically thought it was dead set in the sand that it was going to happen when it came to be. At Survivor Series, the storm was too... What was the word Triple H used? The lightning was there, and you better strike.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was smoke, there was fire, and I mean, it was burning.
Exactly. So while it may have not been shocking then, if you had told me at the beginning of 2023 that CM Punk was going to return to WWE while still employed to AEW at the beginning of 2023, I would have never believed you. I mean, look at how many steps we had to get to get to that place. I mean, Collision got started.
Before that, when CM Punk went to Monday Night Raw before the show and was taking pictures with everybody outside the Allstate Arena, and then went inside and supposedly buried the hatchet with Triple H and Miz, and everybody was happy to see him there. And Vince told him to leave apparently because he didn't want to tamper with his contract. Even that was something that went under the radar as far as stuff that looks back when we look back on 2023.
Yeah.
But that was probably the catalyst right there. That was probably what got the ball rolling.
That was absolutely what I was about to say. It was probably the first domino. So then you add that in, the whole Collision thing, the Jungle Boy thing, Brawl In. I mean, it's been a whirlwind of CM Punk news. And, whether you love him or hate him, he keeps himself relevant. And to see him come out at the end of Survivor Series when nobody thought it was going to happen, when the show was closing, literally the graphic pulled up to close the show, TV static, and, Phil Brooks came home. So it's going to be exciting to see him in AEW. For me, that is definitely my most shocking moment of the year.
You mean WWE?
Oh, did I say AEW?
He did. But one more thing that we can move on, Micah. But It's something great about a kept secret in wrestling. There's something great about it, and it makes the moment when it happens more shocking. Like, as I remember when Edge came back in 2020, right before the Rumble, there were rumors that he was coming back. And so, I know people loved the moment and people did lose their minds, yes. But again, there was a lot of people that expected it to happen. There was something special about when Brock came back in 2012 because nobody really knew what was going to happen. Or when Rock came back in 2011. You see what I'm saying, Mike? It's great when a secret is kept all the way through.
Mm-hmm. And it's a
But
lost art in
yeah,
wrestling these days. I mean, just so much we know, and that's great, especially for people like us who have to review the stuff. Sometimes that stuff is more interesting or adds another layer, but I mean, nothing is truly as satisfying or just takes your breath away, like you said, as a moment that nobody knows about except the people involved.
yeah, completely agree.
I will say that the Bray thing, I said earlier I wanted to hit on it. So next up is my moment of the year. And this one was hard because again, I wanted to be positive. I hate to say that because it's not that I want to take away light from the situation and the tragic passing of Bray Wyatt. But almost with these award shows, you want to be positive, until we get to the worst ofs. But we went two different directions. I'm guessing. My moment of
Yeah.
the year was the Bray Wyatt tribute show, and
Okay. All right.
again, just I feel like that probably got the most attention. I mean, there was
Yeah.
non-wrestling fans these days talking about the passing of Bray Wyatt. He's local to us. Troy, Alabama. He went there for college. So a lot of people were talking about that. It's just a crazy set of circumstances, and the tribute show was absolutely everything it should have been, especially
Yeah.
the final closing moments with the lantern in the ring and it shut off.
Yeah.
And it was honestly just it was a beautiful celebration of life and celebration of the character that was Bray Wyatt and the person that Bray Wyatt was. And I don't even have an honorable mention. There was other things I'm sure you're going to get to, but I feel like this should just have its moment in our award show,
Yeah.
and it deserves some kind of award.
Yeah, man. Bray he's one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love the Wyatt family. The Fiend stuff it was great at first and then got a little hokey, but I still enjoyed it to a point. But yeah, that tribute show was sad, but it was a celebration of his life, and they did it well with the video packages. And LA Knight beat Bray Wyatt's biggest rival in the main event, which is a little bit of a tie-in to because LA Knight, what got him to the main event scene was feuding with Bray Wyatt. I mean, a lot of people made fun of that match that they had at the Rumble, but it did get LA Knight some main event time and microphone work. He could do it with Bray, and he knocked it out the park with Bray. So yeah, him having that match with Finn was great. LA Knight's promo before the match was done well too because he kept it in kayfabe, but he did talk about Bray as like a person, and I don't know, man. They did it well. That whole show was done well, but I feel like we did this in opposite order here because my moment of the year was CM Punk returning, and so I mean we basically just switched these awards around. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
the only thing I wrote for this, as far as my justification of this award going to one Phil Brooks, is hell indeed froze over, and yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. They capitalized in the moment in time that they needed to. It happened in Chicago, Micah, and it was a great moment. And a lot of great moments this year, honestly. I got, as an honorable mention, give a little shout out to Sammy putting that chair in the back of Roman. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah, Monster
Yeah,
Pop.
great moment. They probably would have won if not for the Punk return. Because,
Yeah, I had thought about Bad Bunny's entrance too at Backlash.
oh, goosebumps. Goosebumps. We might talk about Backlash a little later, though. Little sneak preview of that.
Okay. So
I got,
basically, we had the same answers, just different
yeah, yeah,
categories. So basically,
exactly.
either most shocking moment of the year involves CM Punk or Bray Wyatt, and we don't discuss these before because we like to discuss and we like to have a difference of opinion. I don't want to be swayed one way or the other when we do this. I want it to
Yeah.
be fresh on our mind.
I got one more though. I got one more honorable mention. One more, and we'll move on.
Okay.
I got Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns when Roman hasn't been pinned in 4 years. So Jey Uso was the first guy to pin Roman in 4 years. That was a huge moment when it happened at, was that Money in the Bank in that tag
Yeah.
match? A huge moment. The Usos beat Roman and Solo, and they won the Bloodline Civil War. That was a great moment too that I think deserves its flowers because when it happened, it was a big deal, and it got Jay to a main event like a place on the card almost.
Yeah. I think it definitely was a huge moment of the year. Obviously the buildup of Roman Reigns. The only thing I think that maybe knocks it a little bit is just kind of the aftermath of what happened going into
Oh, come
SummerSlam.
on, come on. They
I
had a
mean, the
good
angle
build.
was hot.
They had a good build for SummerSlam. Just the match kind of was not good at all.
Yeah.
Slow. It's slow.
But we might be getting to that a little bit later too. But
Mm.
let's move on to another Totality of the Year award, Storyline of the Year. And when I was trying to think of this one, it was kind of hard because it feels like the stories have been a little lackluster this year from both sides.
Oh, come
You,
on.
well, I don't know. It feels like towards the end of the year it slacked off a little bit. But before I get too far into my choice for Storyline of the Year, Ryan, what you got?
Got one honorable mention before we give out this award, Micah. I got Judgment Day and Rey Mysterio saga in the springtime going into WrestleMania and then after WrestleMania into Backlash when they brought in Bad Bunny. Uh, Ray versus Dom, wasn't that one of your matches of the year, Micah? I mean, come on now.
It
They
was one
had
of my favorite matches.
there you go. And the great segments leading up to WrestleMania with Dom and Ray. They had the whole backlash in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. That was a pretty much a sequel to what Ray and Dom did the month before because the same people were feuding in that match. So I did enjoy that whole storyline they had. It was probably Judgment Day's best feud was against Ray. But as far as the storyline of the year, Mike, come on now. Throw your ones in the air. You know who's winning this. It's the bloodline. I know you probably don't like the direction they're going in now, which is fair because it's cooled off quite a bit since the LA Knight feud. But we cannot discredit what they did for the lead up of WrestleMania. That was a hot feud going into WrestleMania, Micah. Probably one of the best built up feud going into the one of the best Mania cards of the last decade. What they did in the springtime, and then they cooled off for a little bit, but then they started heating up again with the Bloodline Civil War with Jay finally super kicking Roman and his match at SummerSlam was underwhelming, yes, but we got to remember, Micah, that whole Bloodline Civil War, Bloodline saga, it got Jey Uso into main event status, got him main event Jey Uso status, one of the top merch sellers, one of the top baby faces in the company. He's getting the biggest reactions on the show most weeks. We can't forget about what the Bloodline did this year. And then that whole mini feud with LA Knight was great too. So I mean, they have that's yes, they do have bad moments. So does every storyline. But as far as the totality of the circumstances, Micah, You got to go with the bloodline. You have to.
I have to disagree.
Ah, oh,
I I will say it was one of my honorable mentions.
okay.
For the mid-year awards, absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, I would have put it. But the way they finished, just it left a sour taste in my mouth, and I can't seem to. I can't put them in there because after August, it feels like nothing has happened, and it feels
Whoa.
like at SummerSlam they kind of went back on what they had done.
Yes. However, you enjoyed the LA Knight feud. Don't act like you didn't like that.
Well, I did, but is that necessarily the bloodline?
Of course. Had bloodline guys in it, didn't it?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
Bloodline. Bloodline. Whole bloodline storyline is that.
I don't know. That one feels like a scapegoat. I think that one's piggybacking off the popularity of LA Knight.
Even if we just stopped at SummerSlam, Micah, that's still 8 months out the year. I mean, come on now. That's the majority of the year.
I don't know. It is one of my honorable mentions. The other honorable mention, which I gotta say, it has not been my favorite, especially recently.
Oh.
But nonetheless, it main evented the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Oh God. Come on, man.
It's been their longest running story. Better Than You, Baby at least deserves a seat at the table. While it is too hokey, and it has definitely fallen off the cliff with injuries, it did main event All In.
Oh man. If that's at the table, I'm not sitting at that table.
You're not eating at that table?
Nah, I'm just gonna throw away my tray and I'm not having lunch that day.
I couldn't put it as a winner, and I'm not putting it over the bloodline, but solely for the fact that it main evented All In, and it got a big reaction there.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite moment, Micah? Their dance party in the middle of the ring or their fishing trip with Paul White? Which one was your favorite moment?
See, that's where it gets too hokey. But in that moment, on that night, people were into it, and it was popping a rating for a little bit there.
Oh God. Yeah, people will pop for anything in that company. They pop for Hangman quenching his thirst with Swerve's blood. They pop for that too, Micah.
Well, my victor here is Cody Rhodes' Road to WrestleMania.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's go with the bloodline though, right?
Come on.
Tie everything back to the bloodline.
I thought about putting the LA Knight Meteoric Rise, but that's a little too broad. But Cody's return to the Rumble, the promos, because you got to remember during the beginning of it, Roman wasn't there. They only had a couple weeks where Roman was there face to face with Cody. Cody probably cut one of the best promos of the year. You remember the one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That one he cut in the ring after a match.
And his veins were.
Yeah, when he said that this is personal and it's been personal since I started in this company and from the same cameraman and from the same people. And yeah, man, it was a great pro. That was my promo of the year for the mid-year awards, I believe. It was a great promo.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And also you've got the segment with Paul Heyman, where Paul Heyman, I'm pretty sure, cried when they were talking about Dusty.
He's great.
And I mean, then you had the face off with Roman, where Roman sat the belts down. He was like, "Have you ever been here? Have you ever been around these titles? Have you ever been in the main event of WrestleMania?" And Cody went right there with him. Beautiful story, great match up until the last couple minutes.
Yeah.
And overall, to me, Cody's Road to WrestleMania was the best story of the year. We got to see if they can follow up with it because it's looking like the direction they're going to go.
I hope so. It was some magic when they met face to face again this year. Do you remember that on that SmackDown episode?
Oh yeah, it'll give you goosebumps.
Yeah. I just think the My Way promo when I see that clip.
Hey man, I'm fine if they bought the rights to use that again.
Oh, why can't they? I'm sure they could. Is it still on the network? That whole promo?
I don't know.
Gotta be right. It's gotta be right.
I would hope. I hope they didn't dub over it.
That would be a travesty for future generations. Which makes me mad that a lot of the media that we have now is going to get dubbed over because nobody buys DVDs anymore. So you can pretty much change anything you want.
Yep. And WWE's not even producing them anymore. I saw that. Last week.
Yeah, they're officially shutting down for real this time because they shut down last year too. But this is the end of an era, man. I still remember as a kid collecting hundreds of wrestling DVDs.
I think I tossed on mine years ago, but we had a ton.
Yeah, it's sad, man, but I mean, you gotta change with the times, I guess.
Well, speaking of travesties and sad things, we'll move on to our next award, if you could call it an award. The worst booking decision of the year.
Oh my. You want to take this one?
I'll start us off. I'm sure you probably got you remember the smaller moments that I forget about. The honorable mention, while not a match, John Cena obliterating Austin Theory on the mic 2 weeks before WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I've never seen Theory in the same light.
He hasn't been the same. He still hasn't recovered. Has he had a major feud?
And he got the win.
Oh yeah, he got the win, but he hasn't had a singles match on a PLE all year after that. Like, how crazy is that?
I honestly didn't know that.
You don't even notice them. Yeah.
It just completely, I mean, he basically just stripped him naked in front of everybody. He joked about, and it's the typical Cena stuff. As much as I like seeing Cena, we talked about this weeks ago. He does the good stuff. Joke, pal.
Yeah. No sells what the other guy says about him. Then he can go with the backstage stuff, like saying they pipe in noise for you. That benefits nobody when he says that too.
Yep. And that's what killed Theory.
Yeah, it did. It killed him dead.
Because he used that exact line, like, they didn't have to pipe in crowd noise for me, pal, or something like that. And it's never been the same. It's
punching down, too, because he knows Theory doesn't have the material wrote for him, and he knows Theory can't go off script like a CM Punk can. So the fact that he takes liberties like that is kind of, I'm not going to bury John Cena because he is a legend in the industry, but I mean, stuff like that you look at and I just shake my head and say, I don't really miss this guy on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, again, we talked about it, so I won't harp on it. A couple weeks ago, even, I think it was when it was the Crown Jewel and it was Cena's last match. He adds eyes to the product. You can't deny that. But it's always that. He did the same thing to Solo. He puts him over in the match, but before that, no.
Bootleg, basement, bargain, Taz, or something like that. He said to Solo. Solo had to just sit there and take it because Solo is not a microphone guy. So what can he do? He just has to sit there and take it and spike him 12 times, and somehow that's supposed to make up for what happened. Maybe it does, but has he been treated as a serious threat since that Cena feud? Not really.
Nope.
Not really.
And has Theory been treated as a serious title contender?
Bro, he's not. He's taking a back seat to Grayson Waller.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
But anyways, the winner or loser, I should say, of the worst booking decision of the year, is Cody Rhodes losing to Roman
Oh.
Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 39. To me,
Okay.
and I mean, we just talked about this. There's no reason for Cody to lose, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
The Bloodline story that happened after didn't have to involve the title. We could have had Jay and Roman at SummerSlam, independent of the championship. We could have had Roman versus LA Knight, independent of the championship. And if LA Knight came out with the win, it still would have put LA Knight over because, I mean, how many pins would Roman have eaten by that point? 2?
Probably not even that.
Yeah. So, honestly, in the moment, I said it was a bad idea. When the Roman J stuff started to heat back up, I thought, well, maybe not. Maybe the ship is being righted. As we've gotten into these later months, and Roman's nowhere to be found. Milk carton. I don't see a reason that Cody couldn't have been the champion. And the moment was there. You can only hope that it's going to be as hot as it was then this year.
Yeah.
And I think it will because the business is hot as it's been in 20 years.
Yeah.
But does the arrival of CM Punk derail that now? I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think it will. It's I can see why you have that as your number one. But Mike, I'm torn on this because at first I was like, oh man, this is a bad decision. But then they brought me back with the Civil War bloodline stuff, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad. I'm sure Cody can. I'm sure he can gain back a lot of his momentum, which he did in that Lesnar feud. He did. And when Jimmy turned on Jay, they lost me again. But then, I look at the following months, though, Micah. Business didn't really take a downturn, so I really can't say this is the worst booking decision. I went with a different direction here. I went with something that negatively affected the company. And as my honorable mention, I got AEW quarter segment. Do you know what I'm talking about? with
it took me a
Juice,
minute.
Yeah, Juice and MJF. Juice brought out the roller quarters right after Hamas launched a terror attack on Israel, killing like 1,000 people in Israel and a few Americans in Israel too. And I think they declared war right after that too.
Yeah,
and
it was a very fresh wound.
Yeah. That was not a good look for AEW. And MJF, he went out on the media tour and said that it was important to him that they had this type of segment. But I don't know, man. It's just very poor taste. That's my honorable
I do have to
mention.
agree with you there.
Yeah, that was one of the worst ones. But as far as something that negatively impacted a company, I think nothing can top what NWA did with the cocaine segments.
Oh man, I forgot about this. NWA somehow creeps into our awards show once again.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to another thing they did later on too in a segment, but yeah, this killed their TV deal, man. This is something that, I mean, are they even going to be a company a year from now if they don't get on TV? I mean, they can't just keep on living off the past of what Billy Corgan did in Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, they got to make money, and supposedly this TV deal is going to make them big money, and then they lose it, and then the CW doesn't waste any time, and they pick up NXT. So yeah, man, the cocaine segment probably takes the cake for me for worst booking decision of the year.
Which obviously proves that they were willing to dish out a considerable amount of money, especially if they got NXT. Now, I'm not saying that what NWA was going to get was what, NXT got. But if they're willing to dish out that money, I'm sure it was a decent deal. And me and you talked about this. CW is on everywhere. That's one of the like free channels you get.
Yeah, absolutely. You get like a little rabbit ears antenna, something that a lot of people out in the country, they can't get cable. They got a little rabbit ears and they got a little TV. They can always get the CW, or they can always get Fox or ABC. They can always get those 3 or 4 channels, and CW is in so many homes. So yeah, they
And
definitely dropped the ball with that.
yeah, they would have been in more homes than TNA. I bet you money. And I mean, to feasibly think that you went from a possibility of being the third company in America, because I mean, while TNA is bigger, with a TV deal like that, it could, they could have started to build something bigger and better. And now, I mean, like you said, what does the future hold? So I think that is a great choice. I think, again, we went in kind of different directions, but I can't knock you for that answer.
Yeah. There was a lot of them that could have won, though. A lot of them could have won.
Yeah. There's I don't know. We got a couple worst. I'm interested to see what we choose. But next up, we've got a positive award, and this is where we start to get more into the individual awards. And I'll let you open this one up for Rookie of the Year for the year 2023. Who you got?
Man, this was tough right here, Micah. This was a tough award to give out because we don't. I mean, it's no secret that we don't watch a lot of independent wrestling. I mean, we only have so much time in our days. We have full-time jobs and some semblance of a social life outside of this podcast. And so we don't see a lot of rookie years for guys. So I went with people that have been on their roster for the first year. And I got 2 guys. And really, man, I feel like I should just vacate this award because I don't want to give this award out to any of these guys. But since I got to, I'll do it for you, the people. My honorable mention is JD McDonough. He's part of the Judgment Day now. He takes a mean RKO, Micah. That RKO he took off the cage, it looked nice. Did you see that?
That head.
Oh, yeah. Old Funko Pop, huh? He had a decent rookie year, I guess. I mean, he's still a lackey to the Judgment Day, the fall guy, but not a lot of guys you can put as a rookie of the year in WWE's main roster. Maybe a Dragon League, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I went with JD McDonough as my honorable mention, and the winner, or by default, I go Nick Wayne. Because maybe I'm just so down on Nick Wayne, man, because people built him up as the next Jeff Hardy or the next big thing that AEW signed, and he was an 18-year-old prodigy. People were singing his praises online. Mike, you remember all that? Got built up to be the next coming. And then when he showed up, he's like 5'8". Well, he's probably a little taller than that. He's like 5'10", 5'11", 150 pounds, soaking wet. He has that little moop face. And his mom is all over the show now. He's what now?
He's mewing. He can't break his mewing streak.
Okay, all right. We'll go with that. You got his mom all over the show now, and he's the lackey of Christian. Christian does good work. I like Christian. So maybe that's why I'm giving him this award because he's standing beside Christian. So Rookie of the Year, Nick Wayne.
Well, we got our first agreement here. This was very hard. I didn't have an honorable mention. I almost put Sol Ruka, but she debuted and she kind of tore ACL.
Oh, we're forgetting about somebody. What about all of our Lex offenders out there? We got Lexus.
Come on, man. He's been on AEW before.
Well, this first year in NXT. Come on now. Lex offenders rise up.
Sorry to disappoint all the Lex offenders, but I couldn't pick him for this one.
Okay.
However, Nick Wayne is also my rookie of the year. Like you said, I know he's been wrestling for a couple years, whatever. I'm not the highest on the guy. He seems like a nice guy. I don't mean any ill will, but
he's rude to his mother, Micah. He doesn't seem like a nice guy.
Well, sometimes it has to be like that.
Okay, all right.
We all go through our adolescent phase, our teen angst.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. She did let him get concertoed on TV though.
Exactly. See, would your mom let that happen?
Probably not. Probably not.
Exactly. She's a piece of garbage. Anyways,
yeah.
I think that he plays the lackey role well. The young, smug disciple. Yeah, I think that it works. And I'm not saying he's the best worker. I'm not saying he's going to be a world champion. But for the role that he's currently in, I think it works. I don't like JD McDonough. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. Nice guy, I'm sure. But,
Yeah.
So Nick Wayne, rookie of the year.
Okay. Fair.
Probably our least bassist award.
Yeah. We had to give it to somebody.
Well, somebody had to be new. But a more positive one that I'm sure we'll have a couple more talking points on next is the best non-wrestler for 2023.
Ooh.
And I got 2 honorable mentions. First up, Nigel McGuinness, definitely commentator of the year.
Yes, sir. I got the same one. He's mine.
Love me some Nigel. Wish he was in WWE instead of Kevin Patrick.
Yeah.
But, I don't love the booths in AEW, how they have them set up, how they have them structured. But he's a bright spot on Collision. I wish he was on Dynamite. That's the thing. When I say I wish he was in WWE, I mean I wish he was more in a forefront position. They got Shivani in the booth now, and it's just overloaded.
At least the last couple.
Well, that's true. I am glad he makes the pay-per-views more enjoyable, especially if Danielson's in the ring.
Yeah, he does.
And following that, another honorable mention I had is somebody you're probably not going to agree with me on. Prince Nana.
Come on. With the dance,
Come on.
Come on. He didn't cut no promos this year, man. I ain't gonna put you. The best dancer? Okay, all right, Micah. Come on,
that
man.
might go to MJF.
Stop. What are we doing here, man?
No, okay, hear me out. Hear me out. The dance has gotten somewhat viral.
Okay, so the Daniel Garcias, are we gonna put him as one of the top wrestlers in the world?
It's different. The dance that Nana's done is kind of getting outside of wrestling attention. Same with the song.
Okay.
I feel like that at least accounts for something.
Wait, so your justification for best non-wrestler honorable mention, Prince Nana, your justification for that is the dance is going viral out of wrestling TikTok? That's your justification? Come on, man. Stop. Come on.
Well,
what are we doing here?
All the announcers today are pretty much garbage, in my opinion. There's a couple. I don't mind Wade Barrett. I don't mind Michael Cole. And Kevin Kelly's all right. I like Taz. But nothing they've done is over the moon. And what manager is there other than the one I'm about to say is the winner?
I would have been, if you would have said like RJ City, I'd be like, okay, he's an entertaining guy. I'm sure he has his fans out there. He has a pretty entertaining interview segment. I would have, I've been fine with that. But Prince Nana and his dance, it's one of your honorable mentions. Come on, man.
It's over. It's over more than like almost anything else in AEW right now.
I don't care, man. The dance. Okay. All right. Who's winning? Who's winning this?
All right. I think I feel like we picked the same guy. I hope at least.
All right.
It's none other than probably who would have won it the past 5 years in a row if we had been a podcast. The wise man, Paul Heyman. Come on.
Yeah.
He's one of the best promos right now. He's in a top program. He's kept the Bloodline story running pretty much single-handedly. And there's nobody better. He let his hair go gray. He dyed it black when Roman came back. It's the little touches. I cannot wait for him and CM Punk to get in the ring again. It's going to be
man. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Because whose side is Heyman on?
I don't know. I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. I kid you not. It's going to be the stuff of legends.
Yeah, everything he does it's like the little thing he does, like the little facial expressions he does, or like the camera won't be focused on him, but you can see him in the background, like calling somebody, or he's got the phone real close. Like I don't know, man. It's just the little stuff that Paul Heyman does. He is the greatest manager of all time. He's booked some great stuff in the early 2000s for SmackDown. The ECW stuff was great for his time.
I gotta back you up real quick.
Go ahead.
Over the brain? Over Jim?
Best manager? I gotta say, yeah. Just for the longevity. Because my man was managing in the early 90s. He was relevant in the early 90s. The late 80s, he was relevant. As with Paul E. Dangerously. It is 2023, going into 2024, Micah. This fan is still going, and he just won Best Non-Wrestler of the Year from us. And like you said, he probably could have won the last 10 years, honestly. Just the longevity, that has to put him at number one.
A good point. Honestly, I can see that. I'd have to sit down and run all the numbers and, think about, but the longevity alone, it's like LeBron.
I was just about to say
give it a nod.
Just for being great for so long has to mean something.
Yeah.
So me personally, he's my GOAT as far as manager goes. And man, whatever Heyman touches, 90% of the time it's gonna turn to gold. He's gonna cut you a great promo. He's gonna sell you a pay-per-view like nobody else. And he is probably one of the best assets WWE has at their disposal at the moment.
True. Did you have any other honorable mentions? I know you said
No, you hit on both of them, man. Nigel and Paul. That was my guys.
I mean, it's a very short cast, honestly. Another guy that maybe deserves a mention is Adam Pearce. I mean, he's good in his role. He's just not like somebody who just comes off as like outstanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's decent. He's him and Nick Aldis have been building something slow, which I'm kind of, I'm intrigued by that to see where they're going to go from there. I like that they have a bidding war for the top free agents. I like when they do stuff like that. Yeah, man, oh, Micah, you don't want to mention Hot and Flexible? She didn't get a honorable mention?
Oh, here we go. You think it's just a joke award to me now, don't you?
Scarlett has to be an honorable mention.
Oh, come on.
He said what were you going to say?
I was trying to say, I didn't say best non-wrestler to look at.
Okay. All right. Yeah, she would be in my top 3. But yeah, you know what? Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is. Hey, man, you want? It's my thought, man. Karrion Kross is in the tournament, man, for the U.S. Championship.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot he was on the roster.
Well, there's always budget cuts that can be made.
He should be on the first list. Him and Omos are guys that
oh man
really should be out the door.
Forgot he was there.
Yeah, I think everybody did. He's doing house shows.
I didn't know that. I just thought he was on hiatus. Hey,
well, okay. So is Miz, not Miz, MVP.
Oh yeah. Why is he not doing something? I mean, he could be partnered with somebody.
I mean, the Bobby is right there with the Street Profits.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, I don't know. There's somebody that could put him with. I'd have to look at the roster, but I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to another positive award. Most Improved Wrestler of 2023. And I will let you start this one off. I've got two honorable mentions and one winner, obviously.
Mention for me has to go to one Trick Williams.
Ooh,
I
good
have
pick.
been, yeah, I've been impressed with my man Trick, not just Booker T's ad libs. I've been impressed with him as far as in ring goes, and I see something with him as it's that it factor. I mean, he's a very likable guy. The audience has gotten behind him organically, and yeah, man, he just gets better and better every single week, and I can see him surpassing Carmelo Hayes as that duo. I can see him being a bigger deal as far as the main roster goes. But
I don't think that's crazy to think at all. And to come out of NXT, Trick Williams is honestly a name that I can buy in the main event of WrestleMania. Like you might think like Trick is kind of whatever, but that's easily passable as a nickname.
yeah,
But you know, he doesn't have some crazy name like I don't know. That Oba Femi guy. While I like him and he's got a great look and he was good on the stick, we're gonna have to work on the name. But Trick
yeah,
Williams, I could buy that marquee of Mania, and he's a big dude.
he passes the airport test. I think he played
Yep.
in the NFL briefly, so I mean he's a real big dude, but he just gets better and better every week. I remember his match with Ilya. I think it was his second match where it was really really good, and I'm just reminded this guy hasn't really been wrestling that long. I think when we had Brooks Jensen on the podcast last week, he was saying that Trick had a little bit of wrestling training before he got there, but he's pretty much one of those guys they just plucked out of college football or pro football that came in for a tryout. So the fact that he's picking it up this quick, it gives me hope, and I'm sure he's coachable because you hear nothing but Booker T like singing his praises on his podcast. So yeah, Trick Williams, my most improved guy. Maybe if I watched more NXT, he probably would have won this award. But come on, man, you know who's about to win this? My pick last year to win Money in the Bank, which didn't come true. But I did say I had high hopes for LA Knight, and I thought he was going to be a breakout guy as a heel in 2023. Well, it was a breakout guy as a babyface. Started out the year as in the feud with Bray Wyatt, did some great stuff. Before that, he was a manager though, Micah. He was a
He was.
manager for the maximum male models. You never thought a guy like that would get his shot. You thought, if he's that manager, he's gonna be that manager until he gets released. But it just goes to show you how much charisma, carrying yourself like a star, looking like a professional wrestler, and a few catchphrases that just goes that'll make you a star. And I mean, you can't that's what made the stars an attitude era. Those guys looked like professional wrestlers. They had the charisma, they had the catchphrases. LA Knight is basically just an attitude era guy transported in 2023, and it works. It just works.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And he has been getting the biggest reactions week in and week out. Even when he lost to Roman, he's still getting monster reactions every week. He's still selling a bunch of merchandise. He still supposedly has big plans going into WrestleMania. So I think LA Knight, from what he was last year, last December, and to this December, there is nobody that has improved more as far as a fan perspective. And I think he stepped up his game in the ring too. I I got big I see big things for LA Knight in 2024. Hopefully he can finally win that money in the bank that I predicted he was gonna win this year. But yeah, LA Knight is my winner for most improved for 2023.
I wouldn't hate that. I do think the United States Championship is in his future at WrestleMania, but we'll see how that plays out. For my most improved of 2023, first one is Big Bill.
Okay.
Well, okay, just hear me out.
No, I'm not turning my nose up there. I like Big Bill. We were part of his fan section. Like that collision with.
Exactly. And I feel like he gets a pretty decent reaction. He's became a tag champ, which crazy enough is the first championship he's held in any of the companies he's been with. He overcame addiction. He's had a rough, past couple years. He remade himself an Impact, got signed to AEW, kind of went through a rough growing period there. I guess if they were trying to put a square peg in a round hole with Big Bill, and they finally paired him up with a guy who's good on the mic and a tag team. And obviously it worked before, it can work again. I feel like it's getting both of the guys over. Them winning the tag titles, maybe a bit premature, but I'll see where it goes. Nonetheless, Big Bill deserves a nod just for where he's gotten himself in the past couple of years. And he's got the crazy eyes, he's big, he's Bill. I mean, what more can you need?
I like Big Bill, Micah, but however, I just don't see him being a main event star in that company. I don't see it.
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, to me, just the story that he's came through, I feel like he at least deserves some kind of recognition to be a world champion in a company. It might be the tag team titles, but he is still a champion.
All right.
Secondly, Dominic Mysterio.
Wow. 2 years in a row, huh?
2 years in a row. Well, he didn't get the award this year, but he's mentioned. Last year, I believe he got it. The mic work is better. The crowd reactions are better. The match work is better. The gold is better. The woman's better. What more? I mean, honestly, what better year could Dominic have?
And he worked the most matches out of anybody in WWE this year.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was the workhorse of the company. He wrestled over 100 matches.
Because he's and that's a good thing because he's still developing, and you can tell he's getting better. So it's a great thing for him to be working more.
And guys trust him too, because he had Randy Orton's comeback match, and he's having CM Punk's comeback match on this Christmas tour that they're doing.
Yeah, and that's praise enough to be the first WWE match that CM Punk is going to have in 10 years to be Dominic Mysterio. How is that not an improvement? I mean, I know he was kind of riding high last year too, but that at least deserves some kind of mention. And he's the top dog on Mondays. He gets the biggest reactions, along with maybe Cody on Mondays and Sammy. Got the gold. And people outside of the wrestling bubble are noticing him. Stuff with his dad, segments that have came out of that. But I see it on Twitter all the time. This is Ray's son, stuff like that. So, he's getting better, and he definitely deserves a nod. But we know whose game it is. That's right. I picked the same man for most improved. That's right. L.A. Knight. Yeah, he's your winner for most improved 2023. You said it best, so I'm not going to add to it. But look at the stat sheet. Look at the beginning of the year to the end of the year. The guy's a future world champion, and all I can say is bank on that.
Oh, yeah. Well deserved. Well deserved from LA Knight.
Yeah. And he's had it coming, too. You told me years ago when he got pulled up to NXT, or to the main roster, you said, watch what this guy does. He's really good. And I didn't believe you then, but, man, I got to eat that crow now. Somehow
he's been around forever, too, because I see segments where he was CM Punk's bodyguard in 2011. Yeah. My God. Why has this guy been everywhere?
Remember during the summer when he was trending for, it was like everything he had ever been in, like general commercials. And,
Triple H's workout DVD that I completely put out of my mind.
He was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine too, like just all sorts of stuff.
He was in The Rock's reality show back in 2011.
Yep. So it's been a long time coming for the guy. I don't think anybody deserves it more than he does.
Yeah.
This is most underrated 2023.
Oof.
I don't even know really who we put last year, but it probably could have been this guy again.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm interested now. I'm locked in. This might surprise you on my pick, though.
I didn't have an honorable mention.
Okay.
My winner for most underrated 2023 is Chad Gable.
Wow. Okay.
He has been saddled with awful gimmicks from years past, and he's had a pretty rough one this year. He was involved with the Maximum Male Models, and while we're big fans here on the Scoop Slam podcast,
oh yeah,
it's definitely not a main event storyline. But to be involved with the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, to legitimately have people think that he was going to dethrone the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time and potentially still be in the mix for that is crazy enough. He's had great matches. You remember at, was it WrestleMania? It was Braun Strowman. He picked him up and German suplexed him.
Yeah, the Chaos Theory he does. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that. That was a good match.
It was, surprisingly, because I thought it was just going to be a throwaway WrestleMania match. But Gable always surprises. He had good matches with Dolph Ziggler earlier this year, and that's saying something. Dolph's a great worker, but, you know, is Dolph really done anything? He had good matches with Mustafa Ali. He had a good match. Didn't he wrestle Cody this year, too, at some point?
He did. It was a really good match. But those matches he had with Gunther were really, really good for TV matches. I wish they could have had a PLE match.
Yep. And he had good promos too, and that's something that he doesn't get to be serious on the mic.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Okay.
Well, but what I'm saying is the stupid stuff gets over with the live audience, and then when he did the serious promos with Gunther, you know, I swear to God, I will be the Intercontinental Champion one day. Like that stuff was believable.
Yeah, that was good. I just wish he would get away from all that hokey stuff. But since it works with the live crowd, I don't think they're going to ever drop that. At least anytime soon.
But that almost plays into most underrated because as saddled with a goofy gimmick as he is, you still care about him. You still know like that guy can go on any given night. And if he wanted to turn it on, he could.
And it's, you know, he doesn't have to be a main event world champion. I think as a mid-card act, what he does, I mean, you can't ask for a better mid-card act as far as fan engagement and as far as in-ring abilities. He might be the best mid-card act they have at the moment, Micah.
At the end of the day, too, not everybody can be a main event player.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, somebody's got to be a mid-carder. And if you had to pick, I would pick Chad Gable. He's going to give you a good match. He's going to give you a good feud. You need somebody to do some goofy work. He's out there to get the live crowd into it. You can't ask for a better, role player.
Yeah, he plays his role well. So a good pick for most underrated. I got an honorable mention for this award. I'm going with Ricky Starks. I think Ricky, what he's done this year with the Punk feud on Collision was some really good stuff. That mini feud he had with Bryan was good stuff as well. I don't know, Micah, maybe it's just me because I don't watch a lot of AEW Collision. So he may be all over that show nowadays, but I don't see him much on Dynamite anymore. And I feel like that's like completely underutilizing one of the best mic work guys they have. And AEW doesn't have a lot of great mic work guys, but Starks is definitely in the top 5, top 10 at least.
Probably top 5, I would say, yeah. And I mean, I know you kind of ragged me in the past about burying him or whatever, but he is seriously one of my favorite guys to watch on AEW, and it never feels like he gets the time.
Yeah, he's one of the OG Scoop Slam guys. I mean, we took a picture with him, Mike. He has to be a fan of the Scoop
We
Slam
did. I got
podcast.
his autograph right here on the wall.
Yeah. So yeah, man, Ricky, one of the most underrated guys in the business.
See you in January.
So we'll see you in January, man. We'll be there. Who's winning this award this year? For me, Micah, and you're probably gonna roll your eyes, but I'm going with Miz. I I think he had a real strong 2023, man. For a guy that always loses, he had a very strong 2023. His feud with Gunther was really good. He had a really good match with Gunther at Survivor Series. He cut some great promos against Gunther, and Gunther, he had his best mic work against The Miz. Miz brought out the best in Gunther. I think his feud with LA Knight, probably one of the most underrated feuds of the year. That little mini feud they had, that was some great, great stuff. Miz was so good. I mean, he rattled LA Knight a few times in the promo exchanges. Miz,
Forgot about that.
yeah, Miz did some really good. He had a good match with LA Knight too. He had that. Remember that special guest referee match? Cena was there. It was LA Knight versus Miz, and Cena was a special guest. You remember that, Mike?
I do remember it.
Yeah. That was I enjoyed that match. They had a match on SmackDown that was really good. Miz, it doesn't matter where you put him. You could have him at WrestleMania as the host, having him take a people's elbow from Snoop Dogg, or fighting the owner's son, or having a comedy segment with a celebrity we've never heard of in Saudi Arabia. Miz is gonna make that thing work. He's gonna give it all he has, and 9 times out of 10, he's gonna knock it out the park. It doesn't matter where you put the Miz. Miz is going to do great work. And I think his 2023 was one of his best years. And for a guy that, like I said earlier, loses a lot of matches, he had a very great 2023. You don't think so? Disagree.
I like The Miz, and I agree. Good feud with Gunther, good feud with LA Knight. Past that, I don't know. It's hard to say underrated when a guy's a former WWE champion and when he's
Come
lost.
on. People take him for granted. You know it.
Okay, well that's fair, but
So he's the most underrated. Come on, man.
I don't know.
It don't matter where you put.
Don't think I can put Miz there.
Are you gonna put Chad Gable there? Come on now.
What? He's great in the ring.
Has he had any feuds that are on par with LA Knight and Miz did?
Gunther.
You think that's better than the LA Knight feud that Miz had?
Yeah.
At least Miz and Gunther actually had a PLE match.
Well, that's not Chad Gable's fault. That actually plays more into his hand.
Oh, does it?
For most underrated, yeah.
I'm not gonna dog Chad Gable. I do enjoy Chad Gable, but I think Miz's 2023 was great, at least from my perspective. But take what I say with a grain of salt, because I am a Miz fanboy since 2005. So.
Not the long shorts.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Half shin shorts.
The fedora. Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, God. And the stupid little hand symbol he used to do. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I did it all. When I was growing up, man, I did that thing. When he started to do that taunt, I had to get up and do it with him. Oh, don't act like you didn't do the Jeff Hardy taunt. Don't act like you didn't do that. You did.
I was about to say, I learned a headstand from Ziggler.
Exactly.
So,
come on now.
I can't hate. Yeah. I can't hate on you too much.
My guy still got a job. Where's your guy?
Oh, come on. He's wrestling in Puerto Rico.
Okay. All right. Is he?
Come on the pod, Dolph. We'd love to have you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I take back all my slander if he comes on.
Oh, come on. Now you're just being a kissy.
Oh man. Well, they're still writing us checks, Micah.
Well, hey, that rumor will be spread. I'm sure. Well, maybe we can agree on this one. We might. I don't know. I'm very interested to see your answer for this.
Ooh,
Most overrated wrestler of the year.
I'm gonna make a lot of people mad with this one, Micah.
Oh, I think I might make just as many people mad.
You want me to start, or you want to start? What we do?
I'll start this one off. Or did I start the last one? Nah, you go ahead. I started the last one.
Oh, man, I had two guys wrote down. Start with as far as honorable mentions, but I went with one because my justification for this list is somebody that is in a prominent spot that I just don't see them as that type of guy. And my honorable mention, I'm going with Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, man. I just don't see it. The size is going to be an issue on the main roster. Remember how tiny he looked next to Undertaker?
Yeah.
And then I understand that he carries himself like a main event guy, but when he opens his mouth and when he cuts a promo, I don't feel what he's saying. I don't see it. It doesn't sound convincing. It sounds like he's reading from a script. I think the guy out of the Trick and him, the guy in that pairing that is going to be worth a lot more money in 5 years, is going to be looked back as one of the greats of his era. I think that guy's going to be Trick Williams. I think he's going to be Johnny Nitro, and Trick is going to be the Miz, man. Trick is going to be Sean, and Carmelo's going to be Marty. I personally think that Carmelo he's not him.
Oh, man.
I said it, man. I said it. But he's my honorable mention. Do you have any comments about my honorable mention, Micah? You agree? You disagree? What do you got? Well, let me hear your feedback, man. Am I being too harsh? Am I being too harsh on Carmelo Hayes?
I gotta disagree. Let me hit. Oh boy, words. Let me hit you with what I agree with first.
Okay.
Trick being the bigger star, I think that's in the works.
Okay.
He is small. I see you there.
Yeah, tiny.
The charisma, I don't know. Personally, I feel like Carmelo's got the mic work, the charisma. Could he be better? Sure. But he's in NXT. I think he's got a long career in WWE. But, again, can I buy him in the main event of WrestleMania? Maybe. Over Trick Williams? Nah, no, I don't think so.
Not at all. I think he has the Gargano ceiling, man. I think he can only go so far on the main roster.
I think he'll go further than Gargano solely because he is more charismatic.
I just don't see it yet, man. I don't watch a lot of NXT. I probably watch more than you, but whenever I see him cutting promos, it just doesn't sound like him. It just sounds like somebody you could have wrote this for 30 other guys in NXT and had him say it. But and his in-ring stuff doesn't stand out enough that's gonna put him head and shoulders above everybody else, like how Daniel Bryan was. Daniel Bryan definitely stood out for what he did in the ring. And I mean, his promo skills weren't great, but what he did in the ring was something that nobody else could do. You got 30 guys that can wrestle like Carmelo Hayes on the main roster and at NXT. So I just don't see it, man. I think he's the most overrated guy as far as WWE side goes. But as far as who's going to win this award, I'm going with the greatest heel of all time, Jay White. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it. I did it, man. I just don't see it. People were hyping this man up like he was the greatest heel in all of professional. Micah, you remember seeing that? The greatest heel
I
in
do.
all of professional wrestling. I mean, anybody that was an avid New Japan watcher was always singing the praises on the Switchblade Jay White. Switchblade Jay White's a better heel than MJF. Did you see his press conference that he swore 35 times in? Yeah, he's the greatest promo in all of wrestling. He's better heel than Roman Reigns. And then when he
And
gets here,
MJF.
MJF too. And then when he gets to AEW, Micah, he's shoved down our throats. His promo skills are weird. His promos in general are very weird cadence to him. And he tells you that he's the greatest and all this. He throws out a bunch of phrases that really mean nothing. He rambles incoherently. He's not even the best member of his own group, if we're being honest. And MJF killed him dead in that feud by calling him tofu and beating him like with a broken leg almost at the pay-per-view. I think Jay White is the most overrated guy, and I can't see him recovering from what the MJF feud did to him.
Once again, I do agree. I do have to say that I'm not as against him as you are, I don't think.
I just don't
But
see it, man. I just don't see it.
he is definitely not what I expected, I guess. He drones on a lot.
Yeah,
Say
he
that
does.
again?
I said I was agreeing with you about when you say he drones on a lot. He does. And the fact that he's been shoved down our throats, and the audience, they don't give him a reaction. I mean, that match he had with Swerve 2 weeks ago, Swerve got a better reaction. They were both heels.
Yeah. And Swerve's hot right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I also have to agree. I don't feel like he is the best guy in this group.
No.
I'm kind of mad I didn't pick this one. So overall, I mean, I don't think I think mentioned for me, but I do agree with you. I just don't know about the most overrated.
I just feel like the way he's been pushed and what I've been seeing him do, I just don't. I don't think I don't want to be one of those guys that say, "Oh, he don't deserve a push." But does he really deserve this push, Mike? Come on, man.
I think it's founded off his New Japan stuff that a lot of people like myself didn't see a whole lot of. And I think that is a common trope of AEW. Edge comes in, sure. You ain't got to explain that. Jay White comes in, you know, who is he? Where has he been? What's he done? I mean,
Why?
yes, I know that. I also have a wrestling podcast. That says a lot about what I pay attention to wrestling. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I see your point. Like, absolutely. I don't know about most, but how does he come back from that feud? Time will tell, but it's not looking fortuitous for Jay White.
Yeah.
Now for myself, honorable mention. This is a guy I harped on a couple weeks ago and got some hate for online.
Uh-oh.
Current world heavyweight champion Seth Rollins.
All right.
To me, none of his matches have been great. I think his best match this year was against Sammy on Raw a couple weeks ago.
Ouch. Okay.
The feuds. Nobody wants to see Nakamura in 2023. Nobody wants to see Finn in a world title picture in 2023. He had an alright match with AJ Styles. And other than that, he's just laughed and cackled and been goofy all year.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what he did at WrestleMania.
Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
Remember he
that tells you right there.
remember he frog splashed KSI through the announce table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did forget about that.
Or no, he didn't do that. No, Logan Paul did that. My bad.
Yeah, Seth snatched it down.
I
Hey, I
forgot all
believed
about
you, though.
that. It sounded right.
So, I don't know. Especially, like you said earlier, this award has to be somebody who has been featured in a prominent position. He's constantly on Raw, and he's the world champion. Rightfully so. He should be on Raw, but it shouldn't be Seth. I would much prefer Sami Zayn to be champion right now.
Yeah, I think what's holding him back too from having a good reign as champion was there were just no heels that he could feud with.
That's true, and that's the backbone of a babyface champion. I will say the promo he cut with Punk this week, great stuff. If he keeps that up and he drops the goofiness, I will like Seth. I used to love Seth.
Yeah.
This year, this gimmick, not for me. But
he has his fans. He has his fans.
Yeah, that's true. They were pissed at me a couple weeks ago. But I'm surprised you didn't have this one, and I have a feeling you know who I'm about to say.
No.
His Shield brother, most overrated, is Jon Moxley.
No, you know I can't do that to my boy Dean.
No, God, get this guy out of here, man. His matches are awful. I cannot watch them. I do not like him. I do not like his promos. I don't like his gimmick. I don't like the club he's in. I don't like his shirts he wears that make no sense.
Death Jitsu.
Everything about Jon Moxley is just something that I don't resonate with. And as much as people hate the CM Punk fans, and I'm sure people hate me for the way that I am online about Punk, God, the Jon Moxley fans are just as bad. You want to talk about like a fan fiction, just dying loyal fan base? It's Jon Moxley. They come out of the woodwork to just slaughter you online if you dog him. And he's not good. Oh my God, he's so overrated. His matches are the same thing constantly. We'll get to one in a little bit. You remember All In. You hated that, the shish kebab spot.
Oh, yeah.
All Out, faced Orange Cassidy. That was garbage.
Yeah.
He likes to just say stuff online. He had the match with Adam Page that I didn't really care for. Don't take this the wrong way, people. The man, Jon Moxley, I wish no ill will. I hope him and Renee have a nice life together. But on that screen, I wish Jon Moxley would find another job.
Oh, man. You know, I don't share the disdain that you do about Moxley because he is my favorite member of the Shield. I just can't find myself a completely saying I'm done with Moxley. He has had some bad matches this year, Mike. I'll give you that. But I don't know. He's not been treated he's not been world champion all year or anything like that. He's just been like the gatekeeper of the main event scene, which I don't think that's a bad spot for him to be.
Well, no, but he's always on the show, and he just, I don't know. It's that nasty little shoulder roll, or like
I was just
one
about
of the
to
promos.
say that.
Exactly. Or like one of the promos he did this year, he just like slid down the rail of stairs. He comes off like he thinks he's the coolest guy in the world, and it doesn't come across that way on the screen.
Micah, you're telling me 2023, you're done with all the Shield members, huh? You're tired of Roman being a part-time champion. You're tired of Seth's cackling. You're tired of Dean Ambrose's bleeding. You're just done with the whole Shield, huh?
I might be. And
And
I
you
like Roman.
you vilified me. It may have been a couple years ago. I don't know. When I said I was never a big Shield guy per se, but you hate all of them now.
I don't.
You hate all of them.
No,
I'm the
I
bad
don't
guy.
know how to respond to this.
I'm the bad guy for saying the Shield was overrated. I'm the bad guy.
I don't think they were overrated. I think that they definitely have all had their time in the sun.
They were bootleg Nexus. That's what I would say.
Oh, come on.
Well, they showed up. They beat people up. That's what they did.
Roman's best work was this bloodline thing. And if he was here more, I'd be fine with it. Seth, as the architect, great. Loved that run. Dean or John, whenever I first started watching AEW and he was world champion, sure, that was all right.
Okay.
But 2023, I don't know, man. It's time for all of them to come off. Well, not Roman. Roman needs to actually be on TV for 6 months. John and Seth need to come off of TV for 6 months and get a new gimmick.
Yeah, but let's wait till after the Punk feud with us. Yeah.
Well, that's fair. But see, that's the thing too with Seth. I know Seth is going to eventually have another gimmick. Moxley's going to be Moxley because that's what he thinks he is in the people's mind. And there's a lot of people that buy that. But for people like me who just think it's garbage and you're trying to act tough, it's the lamest thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair, man. I can see why you picked Moxley. I'm surprised you didn't go with OC. I'm very surprised he didn't even get a mention.
Well, let's not jump the gun here. Worst match of the year.
Oh, Lord. All right.
Let's kill two birds with one stone. I got two honorable mentions. Before we get to the winner real quick, I'll go ahead and open this one up. I know you're going to disagree with me.
Uh-oh.
Roman versus Jay at SummerSlam.
Man, maybe disappointing. I don't know about worst. I mean, there's some bad matches that we saw this year.
Well, okay, that's true. But, oh man, the expectation that I had for Roman versus Jay, it fell so flat. Flatter than 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the ship could have been righted if there was a proper like tribal combat and there was some neater stuff that came along with it. But I don't know, man. And then the finish just really was the icing on the crap cake. It just left me with such a bad feeling after SummerSlam. And I was riding so high going into it because I wanted to see that match. It deserves its moment in the sun, I guess, or moment in darkness for this award, however you feel like phrasing that. The other honorable mention is Stadium Stampede All In.
You have to remind me on that. I don't remember that.
Shish kebab spot where they had all the skewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen worse that they did this year.
Well, I mean, sure, but that along with all the camera cuts were awful. It was so hard to follow. Trent's mom comes up with a muffin or whatever, and they start using a cookie sheet. It just, there's too much going on, and it didn't need to happen on a great show that All In was. It just felt useless and too all over the place. Like, why are we booking this? We got the people here. Let's give them something good and meaningful. I know people are gonna, chastise me and crucify me for that thought, but whatever.
Well, they had to get everybody on the show.
Oh, say that again?
I said they had to get everybody on the show. That's why they had it.
Well, of course. That's why they have 18 tag matches every pay-per-view, so everybody can get that payoff, brother. But you mentioned it earlier, so I figured we'd go ahead and jump in head first. Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, All Out 2023. What a garbage fest. I got unreal hate for this online, and I still stick to my guns. This match sucked pond water. Moxley, everything I just said about him was on display here, and Cassidy is just as bad. It looked like a stepdad beating their teen angst adolescent 15-year-old. It would look no different if Nick Wayne was in the ring across from Jon Moxley. But Orange Cassidy is 35. That's the problem.
I think he's older than that.
Even worse. And all of their worst tropes were on display here. They were bleeding like stuck hogs. And I can't even remember what all I hated about this match right now. I should have went back and watched it, and I could have cut a whole nother rant that would have went viral. But, man, just... I don't know what to say. Go listen to the All Out review. This match sucked. And I'm sure you could find one that was like, I don't know, Nia Jax versus Chelsea Green or something like that. That was worse. I actually like Chelsea, so not to throw her name in there, but this was the main event of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The main event of the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
the international title.
And it was coming off a very successful pay-per-view with was that All In the weekend before?
And it was a very a time that they needed to restore some kind of feeling back in AEW because they had just fired Punk that week, and everybody online was like, "Oh man, we are so back. The feeling is back." And I was like, did we watch the same pay-per-view?
People love that match.
People love that whole show. I don't...
Oh, yeah. Best show of all time.
Anyways, my worst match of the year, Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. Don't go watch it.
Man, it's crazy because there's a lot of people that would say those were good matches. But the matches I'm about to name, ain't nobody singing praises on these matches. I dare you to find it. I got two honorable mentions. I got Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho, Double or Nothing. The unsanctioned match. Do you remember that?
Pick.
Do you remember that? It got called off. It was I believe Adam Cole won, but he didn't pin Jericho. They called the match off. They called it unsanctioned match off. He won basically by, I don't remember how he won. I think he got on top of Jericho and started like pummeling him, and the referee called off the match. That's how the match ended. And it was slow. It was so slow. Sabu somehow was there, which I don't understand why. I don't think anybody understands why, but he was there. And there was multiple hardcore matches basically in this whole card. And this was the second one that they had that night, and it fell flat. This was bad. This changed the perception of a lot of people's view of Adam Cole, me, myself included, because I don't think he's recovered since then. Well, I mean, depending on who you talk to, a lot of people like JF stuff. But me personally, this was not good. And the segments leading up to this was not good. You remember when he got handcuffed to the rope and they start beating up Britt Baker with the Singapore cane?
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole build, that whole match, that was bad. Really bad.
I completely forgot about that. That's that's an honorable mention for me too, because it was really, really bad. The whole month that consisted of that.
Yeah, Jericho looked out of shape. He looked winded for the first 2 minutes for the whole majority of the match. He was winded, and
it only took 2 minutes for him to look winded.
The whole match was just not good. The audience didn't know how to react because it was kind of tame to be an unsanctioned match. Which, to be fair, Adam Cole was coming back from injury, which, what else is new? But Yeah, this was one of the worst people you could put him with as far as his first match back. Coming off that concussion that kept him out for a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was bad. But another honorable mention, I got Taya Valkyrie versus Britt Baker on the July 26th episode of Dynamite. You remember that match, Micah? That
I
awful
do.
botched fest of a match. Ah, this this was not good. And I don't think Taya has been used since this. I think this may have ended Taya's run in AEW. And Britt Baker ain't got no promo time all year, which I mean I can't blame them. And they have really stepped back on how much they've used Britt Baker this year. Which
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, look at the matches she's had. Look at them. And Exhibit 8 right here. This awful match she had with Taya.
That's
And
fair. I think there's a spot on the card for Britt. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm not saying
is
she's a
it
great worker, but she's one of the better women
as
on
a
the mic.
as a manager, maybe. I don't think in ring. Don't quit your day job, Britt. I'm glad she didn't leave her dentistry full 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 time. I think she's still doing it part time, which that's a smart move. But worst match of the year, Micah. I got Tyrus versus EC3.
Oh man, I didn't even watch this.
I didn't, but I'll just read this quote that I got from where did I get this? From Cage Match. Okay. This guy, what's his name? Lizzie the Lizard. He
All
gave this
right,
match.
credible
Yeah.
source.
Okay. Yeah, I like this guy. He reports a lot of good stories. Sure. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. He gave this a 0.0. He wrote, or she or he, they, whatever you want to call Lizzie. This match was so bad that I willingly created an account for this service to merely review it. And hopefully, after the 7 days rating block, give it the 0.0 rating that it deserves. Tyrus proves that he is washed up with this match and rightfully authors the final chapter of his wrestling career. Because this was his retirement match, Mike. Remember, he said if he lose the title, he's going to retire from wrestling, which everybody wanted. Uh, EC3 barely being able to DDT him was a real negative. DDT him was a net negative, I meant to say. And with Tyrus at certain points being immobile, being unable to get into the ring, I don't think anyone has benefited from watching this. And if I could introduce a new wrestling fan to wrestling, I would specifically tell them to avoid this match at all costs. Not only is this arguably quite possibly, even objectively, the worst match of the year, I would consider this to be the worst match that I have ever seen.
Oh my god.
Yep. So yeah. This whole match got a average rating of 1. So yeah,
Ouch.
1 out of 10, and it got reviewed by quite a lot of people on Cage Match. So yeah, this was not a good match, and I happily have avoided it. And yeah, this wins Scoopy for her worst match of the year, in my opinion, Mike.
You
Hopefully
know,
we hopefully we never get to see it.
I'm gonna try not to.
Yeah,
I already had to witness the one I gave up for worst match of the year. I ain't trying to see any more.
yeah, and NWA wins 2 awards for me tonight. So shout out to you, NWA.
It's the only thing they're gonna be winning. Well, let's move on to some positives here. I think we're out of the negatives now. Best on promos in 2023. I got 2 honorable mentions and 1 winner, but I'll let you go ahead and start us off. We might have the same winner. I don't know. I'm interested to see who you say. But for best on promos, Ryan, who you got?
Hold on, let me get to my notes here, Micah. Notes. Where we at? Best on promos. Got a couple honorable mentions. MJF, of course, he's always going to be in the the top tier of names for promos go.
Same.
I got LA Knight as one of my honorable mentions as well. He is
Also, same.
very, very great on the mic. We talked about him earlier. I mean, there's not much else to say. You know how we feel here about LA Knight here on Pod. I got one more honorable mention, and then I get to my winner. I got CM Goat, one Phil Brooks. Take back all the slander I gave this man because he is, since he's come back to WWE and even his Collision stuff, they have been great promos that he's cut. Even the promos that everybody dogged that he had on the first Raw back, I still enjoyed that. I thought that was really good as well. And his SmackDown promo where he built up like 5 feuds in one 10-minute segment was great, and not a lot of guys can do that. But as far as best on promos in 2023, it goes to one Cody Rhodes. Cody is still the most believable babyface promo in the business, and his catalog of promos runs really deep this year. He gave that, one of his best ones was when he gave that pep talk to Sammy right before Elimination Chamber when he was saying that people saying Roman's in God mode. Well, put it on a t-shirt, print it, and it looks real good there. But Roman Reigns is a man, Sammy. And that's just one of the great lines he had in that promo. That one he did that you talked about earlier in March of this year when he had that emotional promo after the match. That was great as well. And I think won my promo of the year in the mid-year Scoopies. But yeah, man, Cody is still the best babyface promo in the business, and he's gonna win best on promos for 2023 for me.
Can't disagree there. I did not have Cody, but I should have had him as an honorable mention. Nor did I have Punk. And the only reason I didn't have Punk...
Wow.
What? Hold on.
Wow. You didn't have Punk, but I did?
Look. Hold on.
Did we switch notes, Mike?
No. Listen, I love some Punk. Don't get me wrong.
See him go.
I just felt like, considering the short amount of time that he was here this year, for the same reason that I couldn't put Roman for Wrestler of the Year, same reason I can't put Punk. He was really only active for 2 months.
Is that right?
July was when Collision started, I believe. No, it was June.
Yeah.
He was gone by the end of August, so 3 months. And he's been back for a month-ish in WWE. So
4 months. But you got to look at what he has put out, though. Like when you line it up, what he's did compared to what everybody else has did, the little quantity that we've had as far as mic work goes, that can stand above a lot of guys when it comes to people that are there every week.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. That's the reason I didn't put him. If we did a promo of the year specifically, his Collision return promo would have been mine.
Oh, tell him when he's telling lies, huh?
The other two I had, MJF and LA Knight, also deserved, so those are unanimous honorable mentions. I'm very shocked you didn't include the guy that I have winning. My best on promos in 2023 is none other than Christian Cage.
Ooh, that's a good one.
While he might be a little hokey sometimes, Christian has been one of the best things running this whole year in AEW. TNT Championship run, which is something I personally never thought we were going to get with Christian. I didn't think he was going to hold a title while he's there. Arguably one of the best feuds right now in AEW is him versus Edge.
Stop. Come on now. Come on, man.
What else do they have?
Bro, they brought Nick Wayne's mom into it.
Before that.
Before the melodrama they had with Nick Wayne's mom in the ring. Yeah. They did that. They did that.
I'm not talking about that.
We could have booked booked a better Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage feud, and you know it.
Well, that's fair, but the in-ring segments that they have had have been pretty decent. While Edge's return was a little overbooked, I think him
Adam
coming into
Copeland.
the ring. Adam Copeland, I'm sorry. Him coming into the ring and doing that was nice. And overall, Christian to me has just had a good year. Most of the time, he classes up the entire joint when he comes out. He makes Shivani hold the mic for him. Um, he had there was one night he had a match. It was Christian and Christian and Ricky Starks versus Danielson and Punk, wasn't it?
No way. Maybe Darby.
Maybe somebody like that. I think it was Darby, and it was really good. Overall, Christian to me has been one of the main event players in AEW this year, and I feel like he deserves the nod of best on promos.
As far as heel promos goes, I think he is. He probably did have the best 2023.
I would you put him over MJF or LA Knight?
But we're talking about heel promo though, Micah.
Well, I mean, either or.
Well, LA Knight really wasn't a heel that long this year. I mean, he kind of turned babyface around WrestleMania. And
Well, I
MJ
know. I'm talking about just blanket statement. Would you put him over
current
Christian?
guy? No, I'm just saying current guys. Yeah, I think Christian is number one heel promo in the business right now.
But you wouldn't say overall better than LA Knight or MJF.
If all these guys were heels currently, no, he probably wouldn't be better. But as it stands right now, because those other guys are baby faces, I'm going with Christian. Yeah. Well, who's better, Micah? Who's the best heel promo in the business right now?
Well, no, I mean I think it's Christian, obviously, because I put him best on promos. But what I'm saying is right now, babyface LA Knight versus Christian. Who are you picking?
That's tough, man, because I love me some Christian. LA Knight, I think he had a good year. I don't know, man. Flip a coin. Flip a coin.
All right. Either way, I think all of the choices we had were great. Cody definitely deserves to be involved. That was a glaring omission from me.
Yeah, I didn't have the best heel promo, and you didn't have the best face promo.
Yeah. Well, probably the most interesting award to me was Booker of the Year 2023.
Ooh. Okay.
And this is where things started to get a little hokey for me.
Yeah. This one's tough.
So, for honorable mentions, I'll open this one up. I've got Triple H
Mm.
and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, DX.
Mm-hmm. Both of them combined. I felt like they had a good year. NXT is doing some of the best rating it's ever done. I feel like it is truly becoming a developmental show. And while arguably a decent crop of the people that are on that show probably shouldn't be on national television, they're getting the experience. And we've seen the growth of a lot of people this year that have really been able to use it. Trick definitely has, grown to be a better personality this year. Braun has come into his own as a heel. Ilya has won the people over and became NXT champion. I don't think a lot of people would have seen that. We had him on the pod last week. Brooks Jensen, I feel like, is getting better every week. There's a lot of guys that are gaining from NXT. There's a lot of hokey gimmicks. So I got to discredit Shawn with that, but I think he deserves his flowers. Triple H, business is hotter than it's ever been. The return of CM Punk, Randy Orton, things that, didn't seem in sight this year. WrestleMania felt one of the most anticipated in the past couple years. The booking overall feels different, very different from when Vince was there. But for my winner of Booker of the Year 2023, Deadlock Pro Wrestling.
Excuse me? Who the heck is that?
Right.
Who the heck is that? Who those guys?
DPW?
Who's booking that?
The Deadlock Pro Wrestling podcast.
Do they book that actually?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is that just like, I thought it was an actual promotion.
It is a promotion.
So they booked the promotion and their podcast?
Yeah, they're okay. You've never listened to Deadlock. I wondered how this would go. They review old wrestling on their podcast, but they have a promotion and they book it.
I've seen the clips on like TikTok of them reviewing old wrestling. I didn't realize there was an actual. I didn't realize those guys were actually booking the territory too.
As far as I know, I'm pretty sure they book it. And, say what you want to. Jay Malachi got signed to WWE, and he came out of there. He was their world champion. And a lot of the stuff, to me, has...
You reached on this one. No. How much they paying you over there at Deadlock Pro, Mike?
It's been more coherent than most of the weekly television.
What?
Yes, because Triple H like lulls between weeks, and while I think
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they just signed the Maximum Male Models. Great pickup.
That's a dub, but come on, man. Let's see them fill 5 hours of television time every week and see if they can come up with some great ideas. Come on,
I'm just saying. To me, the most coherently booked promotion right now.
Come on,
that they might not have TV is Deadlock Pro Wrestling. I couldn't give it. Okay, look. Here's how I came to this conclusion. Tony Khan is definitely not in the conversation because AW is cold. It's so cold. Shawn Michaels runs a great developmental show, but it is very much a developmental show, and there is a lot of rotten things that happen on NXT.
What about TNA now? They had a pretty decent year as far as revenue and TV viewerships went up. Come on, man. You could have picked any other. You picked the Jabronis from Deadlock Podcast, which, let's be honest,
don't bury them. They're nice
not,
gentlemen.
They're not as good as us. You know it. They're Jabronis. They rely on old wrestling to review. We review the new stuff. I mean, come on now.
They're good guys.
Are they? Do they use their left and right?
Funny?
Man, they're making fun of old wrestling. I mean, if we did that, we would get 6 million subscribers too. It doesn't take any effort or any energy to review the old stuff. They don't even watch the new stuff. Come on, man. Jabroni, get them out of here. Well, how much was the check they cut you, Micah?
Oh, come on. Look, I'm just saying, I couldn't give it to any of the WWE or AEW bookers. So I felt like we would give a spotlight to a smaller but a very good promotion that I enjoy.
I ain't giving it to these mud show backyard wrestling jabronis that are on a TikTok podcast where they review. Get out of here! Stop it.
See, now you're burying them. Now you're being rude.
No, I'm just saying, Micah. Come on now. Booker of the Year is Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and it's not even close. They are making record profit. He is, say what you want, but he does have a hand in booking the best storyline that a lot of people say that it's the best storyline they've ever produced, the Bloodline. The first half of the year with the Bloodline was great. You can't take that away from him. Yeah, it did fall off a little bit after August, but still though, Mike, that's 8 months out of the year. That it was great storytelling that it did. The LA Knight main event climb. Now, come on now. You think Vince, that would have ever happened under Vince? Or you think Tony Khan could have done something like that with LA Knight? No. It took Triple H booking to get this guy to a main event status, and CM Punk acquisition. We can't forget about that. We cannot forget about that. That took a lot of maturity, man, because there's not a lot of guys in that spot that would take CM Punk back after everything that happened, after all the slander, after the lawsuits, after the public embarrassment that he had for the other company. Not a lot of guys would take a chance on CM Punk. He did, and it's paying off already. And I read something the other day that the first night that Punk came back, his merch did 6 figures the first night back. Now, come on now. That's his contract's going to pay for itself by WrestleMania 10 times over. Triple H reworking all the PLEs. I know not a lot of people pay attention to this kind of stuff, but I do. Him getting rid of all the gimmick pay-per-views or PLEs. He got rid of all the gimmick ones, the TLCs, the Hell in the Cells, the I don't know whether themed PLEs they had, Micah, back in the Fatal 4-Way, all that kind of stuff. All those themed PLEs, they're gone. They don't have that anymore. Maybe they have Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber, yeah, but that's it. They don't do the themed PLEs, which I think is a huge dub. I hated those back in the day because you would have Hell in the Cell matches that didn't need Hell in the Cell matches, and they would have like 7 of them on the card. It just didn't fit. And speaking of the card, have you noticed that he has reworked all these cards? He's not having 12, 14, 15 matches, which is what they did do in WWE for a long time. For when Vince was booking toward the end there, they would have like 13, 14 match card with a bunch of multi-man matches, kind of like how AEW has. Just bloated cards for no reason. But Triple H has been keeping these things tight. 2.5, 3 hours at the max. 6 matches, maybe 7 if one is needed. And that is perfect for PLEs, in my opinion. The company is making more money than it has ever had. It sold for more than any NFL team or more than any NBA team. It sold for more than $7 billion, Micah. That was under Triple H's watch. I don't see any other booker that had a better year than what Triple H had for World Wrestling Entertainment.
All right. I can see that.
I just think he had a great year, man. As far as financial, you can't. I mean, the numbers don't lie. They're public. You can go look them up. They're a publicly traded company on the stock market. You can feel free to go look all these numbers up. But company took a big turn in the right direction when Triple H booked it. This year was his first full year, and I thought it had overall it was a great year for Triple H. Maybe it was a few down moments, but like every company does.
There's a couple whiffs there. The weekly TV not always my favorite, and or SummerSlam felt like a moment. But you know, I understand.
Yeah, and you can look at any television show like the Attitude Era. It wasn't nonstop great television. I mean, there was lulls in the TV, but you just look at it through rose-tinted glasses, and you just look at the high points. So we just look at the high points. I mean, how can you not say Triple H didn't have a good year?
That's true. I mean, I see your point. I didn't feel
like there was above Triple H. Get out of here!
Come on, there was not a clear winner out of the 3. I just knew it wasn't Tony Khan.
Nick Khan needs to take you off the payroll because that was blasphemous. Now, you're gonna get a letter in the mail coming up shortly, Mike.
That's all right. The Deadlock guys will have me on their show.
You better hope so.
No, that was the check. Anyways. Let's move forward to kind of a similar topic. Let's go to weekly show of the year for 2023.
Oof. Tough.
I'll let you start this one off. I might not be able to skirt my winner. Yeah,
I got honorable mention. And it's kind of cheating. I got CM Punk's book Collision. I got that as a 2 months of Collision.
That's my winner. I put the first 7 weeks of AEW Collision.
Yeah, Punk Run Collision was I enjoyed that. And my winner, I got SmackDown. Not really a great show as far as matches goes. I think Raw maybe had a better match quality throughout the year, but a lot of that has to do with Raw needing to fill 3 hours. But as far as segments go, SmackDown had a lot of great segments this year, and it's still a breeze to get through because it's 2 hours, and we don't watch SmackDown or Raw live, so we mostly skim what we don't want to see. So yeah, man, I put SmackDown as my show of the year.
That was my honorable mention, but my winner was the first 7 weeks of Collision. I thought I might not get by with that, but
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what Collision's doing nowadays, though.
yeah, I'll have to check about that.
Okay, all right.
Or not. We'll
Yeah.
find out. Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. But the other award was Show of the Year, PLE/pay-per-view. And I'll go ahead and start this one off. Honorable mention, I doubt you're going to have this one. All In.
No. No way. No, sir.
A lot of people were not high on this pay-per-view. I really enjoyed it. Maybe it was the environment. Maybe it was just the fact that I got to watch it and it wasn't my entire night.
Yeah.
I don't know. The time of day that I watched it too was nice. Overall, just a really solid pay-per-view. The Punk Joe match is super underrated. I didn't hate FTR and the Bucks. It was a pretty solid match. Jericho versus Will Ospreay did everything it needed to do, and MJF and Adam Cole had a good main event match. 80,000 people, biggest wrestling attendance of all time. It deserves a nod. But the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania Night 1, absolutely takes the cake for me. Just listen to this card real quick, because there's just, to me, there was not a show that I felt completely okay walking away from. First match was Austin Theory versus John Cena for the United States Championship. Not a great match, but the right victor, in and out in 10 minutes. The people pop big for Cena. The match was alright.
Yeah.
Street Profits defeated Braun and Ricochet, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. 8.5 minutes, did everything it needed to do, and I still remember moments from this match. We talked about it earlier. The Chaos Theory from Chad Gable. Remember that shoulder block from Dawkins?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. He laid him out.
Titus O'Neil on commentary.
Oh, I forgot about
Solid
that.
match.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins defeated Logan Paul. Not my favorite, but it got a ton of attention online, and it honestly was not a bad match. Kind of propelled Logan to be more of a mainstay, which, I mean, I know he's kind of in and out, but he is the United States champion right now. Trish, Lita, and Becky versus Damage Control. That happened. Rey Mysterio defeated Dominic Mysterio in what was one of my favorite matches of the year, not because the work was great, but just because
that was a fun match. That was a fun match as far as story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the story was great.
Yeah.
The jail entrance from Dominic.
Great.
Ray comes out with Snoop Dogg in a limo to Eddie's theme.
Whoa. No, you're missing the best part. The Cinnamon Toast Crunch was driving them.
I did forget about that. I thought it was in the back. I thought Snoop was driving.
Snoop was driving and the Cinnamon Toast Crunch was in the back seat?
Yeah, I know it was
regardless, that's a wild statement to say.
Yeah. Rhea Ripley defeated Charlotte Flair in what was arguably one of the best matches of the year. Men, women, children, doesn't matter. Started very slow, but by the end of it, amazing. Probably the greatest women's match of all time in North America. I don't know about the Japanese stuff. And to close it off, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated the Usos for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship, ending the longest reign, ending probably one of the best tag team reigns of all time to what is arguably the greatest WWE tag team of all time. Great way to end the night. The confetti fell. They hugged. Two best friends who came from nowhere
Bingo
ended
halls.
WrestleMania as champions together just as they started. Great finish, and overall to me, the best pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, and they went out on top of that ending. Yeah, man. I also have WrestleMania Night 1 as my winner. Like you said, top to bottom, there's not. It's especially because of the spectacle of WrestleMania itself, and the fact that it had at least two match of the year candidates on that card. And yeah, man, it didn't overstay its welcome either. It wasn't a overly bloated 12 match card that lasted 9 hours. It wasn't that. Yeah, man, WrestleMania Night 1, there's not a lot you could have done better with that. I got an honorable mention that was Backlash though. I enjoyed that in Puerto Rico. The crowd was insane. It was a crazy sight to see a passionate fan base for professional wrestling. It took me back to like watching old stuff because that type of audience was like an old school wrestling audience where they would actually
Yeah.
they would hang on every punch that the babyface would do, and they would make a little sound effect when the punch gets delivered by the babyface. Stuff that you don't really see in in American crowds or British crowds or anywhere else. So that whole card was really good for a beat show because you had the second most streamed artist in the world. I think he's second to only Taylor Swift right now. But Bad Bunny was in his first one-on-one match against Damian Priest, and they went all out. They had some they sprinkled it with a little gaga with the run-ins. You have the Judgment Day run in, the Carlito comeback. Well, overall, it was a great match. I believe was Bad Bunny hit a Canadian destroyer or something to that
Yeah.
effect. Yeah, he worked hard in that match, and the crowd ate it up. And as far if we had an award for best entrance of the year, Bad Bunny would have won that for that entrance he had in Puerto Rico. Because yeah, man, they were rocking for that. It felt like a concert when he came out. And
Yeah.
Io Sky, Bianca Belair had a pretty good match on that card too. Everybody turned on Bianca and started cheering Io, which was it may have like turned the tide as far as Io's career goes on the main roster because she started getting used more prominently after that. And yeah, Zelina had a pretty decent match with Rhea. I thought that was really good as well. And Cody versus Brock, I thought that was probably their best match together in that little
Yeah.
trilogy they had. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
Backlash deserves its flowers too. It was really good.
Yeah, and that's when WWE to me felt like at the absolute best. Felt like all cylinders were clicking right then.
Yeah,
Just that little like 3 month stretch, which I mean, there's good stuff going on right now too. I don't mean to, say that either. But tag team of the year, we're getting to the most prestigious ones now. We got 4 left. Tag team of the year for 2023, Ryan. Who do you have?
man, somebody had to win this, but as far as tag teams goes this year, I got my honorable mention is FTR because they were champs for quite a long time this year. They just didn't have any memorable feuds like that, and they weren't treated as top guys on their show. So I can't put them at number one. But as far as the winners goes, I got Judgment Day just because of how they've been treated all year. They've been treated in a marquee spot all year. They've held tag team gold twice this year, and they're pretty much main event Raw every single week now. So I got Judgment Day as my tag team of the year.
I don't know about that one.
Wow, you
Uh
wouldn't put Judgment Day there.
I like Dominic and Rhea and Priest, but the involvement of Finn, and he's mainly been the one in the tag team division.
But they've been prominently
I'm good
featured,
on
though,
that.
Micah.
Well, sure, but
They get
uh,
reactions. They get reactions, man.
we,
Come
we
on.
we talked about earlier. Just because you're prominently featured doesn't mean you're good. Look at Seth and John.
But they get reactions though, so I can't say that they're like terrible. I mean, they're the number one heel someone in the company when Roman's not there. Judgment Day.
It just depends on what's going on with them. Some of the stuff is good. Some of it I could do without. But for my honorable mention, the aforementioned Sammy and Kevin Owens. We talked about one of their greatest accomplishments was winning the tag team championship at WrestleMania, and the only tag team match or tag team title match to main event a WrestleMania. They came out victors. They had a great match with the Judgment Day, even though they came up, on the loser side. It was still a great match at Payback, and overall, the reign wasn't amazing, but tag team wrestling this year hasn't been amazing.
Yeah.
However, they were on top as the tag team champions in WWE for the longest time, so they deserve the nod to me. Two-time winners of the tag team of the year for me, FTR once again. Longest reign, great match with Bullet Club Gold. I felt like a decent feud. They were so much better used when Punk was there. It's obvious that they don't necessarily have the right friends. I thought they had a good match with the Bucks in London. I know not everybody was super high on that match. And again, it's just not a great year for tag team wrestling. 2 years ago, AEW had a stacked tag team roster. Now, we've got like Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega stealing the spotlight. And that segment they had on Dynamite tonight was god awful.
See, I just don't think FTR has had enough memorable feuds. I can put them as a tag team of the year. Have they ever had a memorable feud in AEW or WWE?
I mean, I
They've had
remember
good,
liking their stuff with Bullet Club Gold.
they've had great matches, yes, but have they had good feuds?
I don't know, but
They're two-time tag team of the year. You don't know.
I mean, not that I can remember off the top of my head, but at the same time, I don't know. If I feel bad because I don't do this to every team, but I can't really discredit FTR for that. It's Tony's fault. He never does anything with them. If they're champions, they're castaways. But if they don't have the belts, oh, now we're putting them in the forefront. It's like the most backwards booking of a tag team ever.
Yeah, I don't know, man. FTR is a weird case because, like you said, there's times that they're champs and they're like on the back burner, just like how Starks and Big Bill is now. They're on the back burner. The tag team division has been ice cold all year. I mean, you say what you want, yeah. They've had teams. There's a lot of teams, but are there any teams in a feud? I think the Acclaimed had a few six-man feuds this year. They were all right,
But
but
now they feel cold.
well, they got thrown through a glass window. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
So,
But in a feud that really didn't involve them.
well, I mean, Max Caster started acting like a ex-girlfriend, MJF, and then MJF finally lets him back into his life, and then his partner gets thrown through a glass window.
That's real glass. That's real glass. Go cry me a river.
I cried all the way to the bank.
Yeah, I don't know. Tag team was bleak this year. We can only hope for a better year, but
Yeah.
two-time winners, FTR for me.
Okay. All right.
Match of the year 2023.
A lot of ones. A lot of good ones. A lot of good ones.
There was definitely some good ones. I will start us off. I got two honorable mentions. First, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, WrestleMania Night 2.
Mm. Yeah.
Great, hard hitting, everything you could want from an Intercontinental Championship match. Truly has felt like the workhorse title, and it's hard to make triple threats good, but they did it here. And the finish was probably the best part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't recall it blow for blow, but I believe Drew hit the Claymore, Gunther cleaned up, managed to get the win. And, even though Gunther's a built-up champion, little heel stuff like that makes it all the more, it makes you hate him that much more because they were this close to taking that belt off of him.
I believe,
and he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion that's ever held it.
I believe Gunther powerbombed Drew onto Sheamus and he pinned Sheamus.
But didn't Sheamus get hit with a Claymore right before that?
Yeah, he did. Well, he may have. I'm not exactly sure. But I remember the powerbomb. He powerbombed to the other. And then he pinned the guy that was on the ground getting hit by the powerbomb. But this was the best IC title match of the year by far. And it was one of my honorable mentions as well.
My other honorable mention was FTR versus Bullet Club Gold, 2 out of 3 falls from Collision.
Yeah.
Probably the best TV match of the year.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's nothing more you could say. I would go back and watch this match. If you didn't watch this match, go back and watch it. It is long, but it is every bit worth the time that you spend watching it. It is one of the greatest tag team matches of the last 5 to 10 years. And this is what I wish they would have kept doing with Bullet Club Gold. This is exactly what we were just talking about. Their tag team division feels so stagnant. They have 2 of the best tag teams in the world right here. They could. But instead, they insist on making Jay White a main event guy, and Juice Robinson's just a lackey. And they felt the most important this year when they were in the ring with FTR.
Yeah, and it was magic when they got in the ring together.
And their first match was really good too.
Yeah, but this 2 out of 3 falls match, this is what Collision should have been. Matches like this. Like athletic, not finisher, spam, kick out fest that a lot of modern wrestling now. This was a great TV match, Micah, and maybe I don't think I was as high on it as you were when it happened, but since going back and like watching it again, it was a great match. And man, I wish they could have had a a pay-per-view match together, but we didn't get that. And the feud was kind of short-lived. Maybe they could have made some magic together if they were paired up against each other longer, but this is what we got. And they went out with a bang, no pun intended, with this match right here.
But for my match of the year for 2023 is none other than the Iron Man match, Bryan Danielson versus MJF at Revolution 2023. It took me a while to watch it.
Okay.
And I'm not even trying to be funny because it was like an Iron Man match. It really just...
It kept your attention.
Yes, it did. And when I finally sat down and took the time to watch it, I thought, a lot of times with Iron Man matches, you tend to look away. You get doing something else. You know it's not close to the end. But with this one, they held me every bit of the way. It is the greatest Iron Man match of all time.
Oh, come on.
Bryan Danielson is...
Come on.
What's a better Iron Man match?
I got Brock Kurt on that SmackDown, or Triple H versus Rock at Judgment Day 2000. There's some great ones.
Okay. I mean, maybe Brock and Kurt, but I don't know. This was great. The finish was great. MJF uh nutshotting Danielson to lose a fall and gain two back is one of the most inventive things that I've seen this year. And that's hard to do in current wrestling because it feels like everything has been done. The 5 minute overrun, just everything to me about this match was great. And I had high hopes for AEW going into around this time because this happened and it was good feeling. Punk was coming back soon. And you see the state of it now. But overall, great match, my match of the year.
I think this was this didn't this happened way too soon in the year because I don't know, man. I feel like better matches have happened this year, and maybe because it happened all the way back in January. Did it happen in January? February?
March.
Okay, yeah, it happened so early on in the year that I don't know. I can't put that as my number one. I don't even think I had that on my list. No, I didn't even have.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even have that on my list. And I have some
What's
eight.
that
Go ahead.
what's that clip of Lil Wayne where he's like he's talking about greatest rappers or something. They're like, Eminem's not even on the list. He's like, Eminem didn't make the list. Yeah, that's how I feel right now.
I mean, I just think there was some better matches this year. I had a lot of honorable mentions. I think Bryan Danielson's best match was against Ricky Starks at All Out. That strap match. I really enjoyed that. It was a physical match. It didn't go long, didn't overstay its welcome. Uh, they beat the living heck out of each other. And yeah, man, Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks at All Out was my honorable mention. And then I got another one: Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania Night 1. We talked about it earlier.
Fair. I wanted to include that.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's probably top three, maybe number one women's match of all time. It seemed like they had a chip on their shoulder because they didn't get the main event spot, which they shouldn't have gotten it. It should have been. It went to the right guys, but we'll get to that match later.
Yeah.
I got another honorable mention: Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak. Another hard hitting match. My favorite NXT match of the year. It happened at NXT Battleground, but yeah, man, Ilya and Dijak had a really physical big man, little man match. One of my favorite NXT matches. Man, let me just hit
See,
you
I
with.
didn't catch that one. I caught the Ilya Carmelo one though.
Yeah, Ilya had a lot of good ones this year. He's gonna be all right wherever he goes. I think if he gets called up, he'll do just fine on there because all his stuff stands out and you can't really see through a lot of his stuff he does. But I just hit you with the rest of my honorable mentions because I got a couple. I got Gunther versus Chad Gable on the September 4th Monday Night Raw. I believe this was their second match, the one that Gable actually beat Gunther, which was Gunther's first loss on the main roster. He beat him by a count out, but he still beat him. And I remember that being a big deal at the time. And I remember singing the praises of Chad Gable, saying that I wanted him to be the man to take the title off Gunther. But, that didn't happen. I got Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, Elimination Chamber. Thought this was Roman Reigns' best match of the year. And he hasn't had many. I think he had 11 this year, but Sami Zayn versus Roman, it went 30 minutes. And yeah, man, Roman had his working boots on. Sami was not taking it very lightly that this was his first like official main event match on the main roster. And it was in his hometown. He had the audience behind him, his wife in the front row, his kids there. So yeah, man, this was a great match. And my next one, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. We talked about that earlier. Bullet Club Gold versus FTR, July 15th, episode Collision. Talked about that earlier. This one for you, right? Gunther versus Sheamus, or was it Bullet Club Gold? Which one won for you?
Danielson versus MJF. Both
Danielson
of those
versus MJF.
were on
Yeah.
my honorable mentions.
Yeah. So we kind of shared the honorable mentions with Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew. But my winner, man, to get to number one, Sami Zayn, KO versus the Usos, WrestleMania Night 1. Two guys brought up together on the Indies. Two guys that they're everyman. They look like the guy you would see at, pumping your gas at the gas station or something. Two guys like that should never be in the main event of WrestleMania, but it just worked. It worked. It was the right place, right time. The first time a tag match is main event of WrestleMania in 38 years. And they had the story. They had a great match together. And yeah, man, just everything worked in its favor that night. And they were hitting on all the right places. They were they knocked it out of the park with this one right here, Micah. Match of the year 2023, Sami Zayn KO versus Uso.
I gotta say, and I'll keep this short because I know this episode has been long and we still got 2 more to go. Personally, the spectacle of that match was great. The moment that it created was great. The match itself just was not my favorite. I just felt like the work was not amazing.
That's fair. That's fair.
The Usos did their super kicks, and
Come on, man.
Sammy and KO tried to save it. I know, but
Come on.
that's to me, MJF and Danielson was a better work match.
I agree to disagree.
All right, well, we got 2 more, the biggest and most prestigious awards of the year. We got Women's Wrestler of the Year. I'll let you go ahead and start that one off, Ryan. I got an honorable and just a regular.
Yeah, I got one honorable. That's Bianca Belair. She's my honorable mention for Women's Wrestler of the Year. Maybe if she didn't get so stale during her title reign, she probably would have won this for me. But yeah, I couldn't put her number one. She had a good year though, as far as in ring goes. On the mic, she's okay on the mic. She's not great, but she's not terrible like a lot of people are. But as far as women's wrestler of the year, I go Rhea Ripley. Just she hasn't had a big catalog of great matches like Bianca has had. She did have the best match of the year, best women's match of the year. I mean, with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. But yeah, she didn't have a lot of great matches week to week. She really didn't feud with a lot of people, but she was a part of the top storyline in Raw, so she was featured prominently with the Judgment Day. And yeah, man, I go with Rhea as my women's wrestler of the year.
Well, that one's unanimous because I got the exact same 2 people and I couldn't have said it better myself.
I think we had the reverse order last year too.
Yeah. And Rhea being involved with the men kind of helps her. I know it's like a women's wrestler of the year, but like she body slammed Kevin Owens and she like beat Akira Tozawa this year.
And Luke Gallows too. She body slammed Luke Gallows.
Yeah. So I don't know. As much as I think Bianca might have had a better catalog, she's like you said, she started to fall flat, and I don't know. We'll see what next year holds. I hope those 2 tie up at WrestleMania this year.
That would be great.
And to close it off, I'm very interested to see what you have. Our final award we're going to hand out, the most prestigious, is Wrestler of the Year. I'll go ahead and start this one off. For my honorable mention, I've only got one because I wanted to keep this short and sweet. I've got the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the best worker in WWE. It is the man, Gunther.
Okay.
While his feuds might not have been great, he had great matches. Chad Gable, The Miz, the one we mentioned earlier against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. the Intercontinental Championship has been around for years, long before me and you were born. And he is the longest person to hold this title, or he is the person to hold it the longest ever.
Yeah.
And that record had not been broken since about like 1980 something.
Yeah, it was 89, 90.
With Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. Because who remembers Honky Tonk Man?
Oh, come on now. he was over.
Gunther has made the title feel prestigious. It once again kind of feels like if whoever can keep it up after Gunther loses it, it could actually be like the gateway title to the world championship scene, which is what it should be. And overall, Gunther has had the most complete top to bottom year, other than Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the AEW World Champion. MJF is my wrestler of the year. He's been the top dog. He's been typically the only reason to watch AEW television. Great matches with Danielson. Great matches with Adam Cole. A lot of people weren't super high on it, but I liked the match with Jay White. And, I mean, regardless of what you say, to be able to flip from heel to babyface in the middle of a title reign is hard to pull off.
Oh, come on now. They played ball with him. They didn't really boo him.
Well, it's still hard to pull off. Like, not many people get to do that. And he's also the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. He's the top dog by a country mile over there. And I just feel like he's had the most complete year. He's been great on promos. His matches have been great. I wish we could have got the Punk feud. But overall, I feel like it was MJF's race to win from the jump this year, with Roman taking even more of a back seat, and I feel like he won it.
Yeah, I got MJF as my honorable mention. I don't know. I didn't enjoy his 2023 like I enjoyed his 2022. I don't think him as a babyface, at least the comedy babyface that he's doing right now with Adam Cole, I don't think that works for him personally to his strengths. But yeah, this was a tough award to give out, Micah, because do you go with box office or do you go with match quality? What do you go with here? I ultimately decided that it's between two guys, two WWE guys, man.
Of course.
Well, yeah, best company in the world, Micah. It's between these two guys, Gunther and Roman Reigns. And,
Whoa.
Gunther and Roman Reigns. These are, I got to go with one. And it's blasphemous, man, I know, but I'm taking the chair and I'm sticking in Roman's back. Pause. But I'm going with Gunther, man. Gunther is my wrestler of the year. I just think his match quality with Gable, Ciampa, Bronson Reed, Miz, Drew, Sheamus, these were all great matches. And just imagine what we could have got if he didn't have visa issues and he could travel outside the country. Because that was the reason he couldn't do any of the PLEs, because most of the B-show PLEs were out the country, Micah. Did you notice that? So he couldn't go to Puerto Rico.
I didn't.
Yeah, he couldn't go to Puerto Rico. He couldn't go to London. Where else did they go? He couldn't go to Montreal because he had visa issues. He couldn't leave the United States because of some kind of like technicality with his visa, where he couldn't leave the United States for like 6 months out of the year or something like that. So I'm just imagining what he could have did on the PLEs. But he did most of these matches on weekly shows. Like, his match quality was great. And yeah, man, he brought the IC title back to his prestigious self. And most of the year, he was the top champion on Raw. I mean, some people will say Seth, but yeah, I still think it's Gunther as far as the marquee title, the title that's gonna mean something when somebody beats them forward. It's the IC title and it's Roman's world title. Gunther is gonna have a great year in 2024, but as far as right now, 2023, I'm buying all my Gunther stock, man. Gunther had the best year in ring quality in all of professional wrestling. He is the best wrestler in the world.
I can't argue with that. I do feel personally like MJF is a little bit better just because he is the absolute, without a shadow of a doubt, top dog in AEW. And like I said, it's by a country mile. But, I mean, I had Gunther as an honorable mention for a reason. I'm not complaining either way. However, Roman Reigns, in consideration for this, is atrocious. I know he's got the longest title reign, but he's had 12 matches, Ryan.
Box office,
and one of
Micah.
them was bad.
Box office, Micah. What sells the tickets? What got us to drive 5 hours to New Orleans, Louisiana? It wasn't MJF. It was hold your ones up, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is still box office.
Okay, what about Cody then?
What about him?
You couldn't put Cody in there over Roman?
Cody ain't no draw like Roman. Stop it. Stop it. Come on now. Let's be real here. We call spade a spade here on the Scoop Slam podcast. Roman Reigns is still
It's close.
Roman Reigns is still the biggest box office attraction in all professional wrestling. Maybe if The Rock comes back for a mini run, then he would be number 2. But right now, hold your ones to the air. It's still Roman Reigns. He's still the best in the business as far as selling tickets goes. And maybe over Punk. Yes, come on now. I am a big Punk believer now, a big Punk apologist. But as far as main event attraction, number 1 guy in the business is still Roman Reigns. Come on now. I don't care if he has 6 matches, 160 matches. The man is still the biggest draw in the business. Whenever he's on TV, people tune in.
I'll take your word for it.
Come on.
But he shouldn't be Wrestler of the Year. There's got to be a limit.
Well,
it's got to at least meet a certain amount of matches.
Well, I mean, box office, Micah. Box office. It's got to count for something. What are we doing this for? To sell tickets, right? Well, who's the best at selling tickets?
Well, yeah, but you got to count all of it in. Tickets.
Okay.
Match quality, championship, star power.
He held the title all year.
Yeah, but he's only defended it like twice.
Did Hogan defend it a lot on TV when he was?
Yes.
No, not on TV. On TV.
Oh,
at house show.
Yeah, that caveat.
I'm just saying though, he's a main event attraction. He shouldn't be there every week. When he is there, he has good. Sometimes he did have a stinker with Jey Uso at some percent. Yeah, but
yeah,
he's had really good matches with pretty much all his opponents this year.
Well, I'm not asking him to be there every week. Can we try every month? Twice a month?
You'll get him. You'll get him when you get him. We complaining. He's selling your tickets, Micah. We went and saw him this year. You gonna turn your back on Roman? He was the main reason we went out there. Come on now.
That's fair, but
was Cody gonna get you to drive to New Orleans?
Well, you know my feelings on
there you go.
Mr. Codester.
There you go. Was Gunther gonna get you to drive New Orleans?
No.
MJF, was he gonna get you to drive New Orleans?
Punk did.
All right, well that's Punk and Roman Reigns, okay? 2 guys. You didn't even have CM Punk on this list.
Yeah, you think Punk? Well, he didn't wrestle a lot this year. What do you want me to do? You think Punk will be Wrestler of the Year next year?
Well, I mean, do we go about box office attraction? Is that a caveat in this?
It's a factor.
Okay, well, I mean, it should be the biggest factor because who's selling the most tickets when they're there?
Well, speaking of, let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up. We've been here a while, but we got some stuff we want to do before we leave. First and foremost, we want to thank you guys for a great year. Our listener numbers have absolutely shot up. Thank you to Brooks Jensen again for the interview that we had last week. If you would have told me we were going to interview an NXT superstar this year, I would have never believed that. So thank you again. We got to go to 3 wrestling shows this year. You tell me that as a little kid, that's unbelievable. We might be going to Royal Rumble next month. But before we get out of here, we got to do some predictions. We did it last year, and we were pretty spot on with most of them.
Yeah.
So I started Wrestler of the Year, so I'll let you start with your predictions. I think yours will probably be a little more bold than mine.
I got Santos Escobar winning the Money in the Bank and will be a breakout star as a heel. I
can see that.
I see something here. I'm seeing dollar signs as far as a main event heel goes, Mike. They need main event heels in WWE. They're sorely lacking. The spot is wide open for him to take because Austin Theory's not going to be that. I thought he was going to be that. Maybe he'll accomplish something one day, but it's far off as far as how they're treating him right now. Santos, they're putting him in a spot right now with Ray, and it's looking like he's going to have a match with Ray at WrestleMania. So everybody knows that's a recipe for success. Put him against Ray, make him a heel. They're going to turn into a big deal. Exhibit A, Dominic Mysterio. And I got Ricky Starks jumps to WWE. Drew McIntyre jumps to AEW. I think we're getting another trade, man. I think it's happening. We already got the Punk for Adam Copeland trade. I think we're getting Drew for Ricky Starks. I think it's gonna happen.
I could definitely see that.
I got Sasha Banks returns in the Royal Rumble. I think she comes back to WWE. The fact that she hasn't debuted yet in AEW, that feels like a red herring to me. That she is coming back to WWE. There's a lot of stories come out in recent weeks that she's having a lot of positive conversations with WWE. So look out for Tampa, look out for the boss to return, and one more bonus one because I'm feeling a little giving. It's the Christmas season. I got AEW signs a new TV deal, but they don't get on Max. And it ain't with TBS, and it ain't with TNT. I think Warner Brothers, I think they pick up Monday Night Raw. And I think we get Monday Night Raw on TBS starting in 2025.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hate to say I wouldn't be shocked. You got a prediction on where AEW goes?
I don't, but I can still see them being on cable, but I don't think Warner Brothers is gonna pick them up. I think they want Monday Night Raw, man. I really do. And there's been a lot of stories that come out recently, which what do dirt sheet writers know about multi-billion-dollar contracts with TV execs? But I do think where there's smoke, there's fire, and Warner Brothers is gonna pick up Monday Night Raw.
Oh, well, come on, Ryan. They know how to vague tweet. That's what they know.
That's what they do. But we're not cowards. We're not cowards here on the Scoop Slam podcast. We're going to tell you what we hear and tell you what we know.
Yep. And we're going to call a spade, that's for sure. And last year, our predictions, if you go back and listen, were pretty spot on. So we might be telling you the info you need to know now, not 3 months from now. But I got 3 myself. Again, I don't think they're as bold as yours, but let's go ahead. I think that AEW will do close in Wembley, but they will not do as good as they did last year.
Yeah, I agree. I still think they do about 60,000, 70,000.
Yeah. I think that CM Punk will have an issue-free year in WWE.
I hope so, man. I really do.
I do too. Trust me. I just all the turmoil that I went through in being a Punk fan during the AEW time.
Yeah.
Just please be on your best behavior.
It's better with
and
him.
don't get hurt.
It's better with him in the company than him not doing anything in wrestling. That's a travesty. He should be giving out his knowledge to the next generation.
Absolutely. And hey, we love to have him on the pod too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
finally, now this one is gonna have to take some people not being right on what they said a couple months ago.
Okay.
I think MJF signs with WWE. I don't think he got a contract extension. And
wow.
I don't think it comes up at the beginning of 2024. I think that there's a 3-month extension on the contract due to his walking out in 2022. I think his contract comes up at the end of WrestleMania or around that time. So here's a very bold prediction because it's Christmas and I feel like giving, and this is our last show before the vacation. MJF debuts on the Raw after WrestleMania.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Bold claim right there.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be wrong this year. We were right last year.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right because I was about to say, why would they let him go on TV and talk about his contract if he didn't resign? But it's AEW. They let John Moxley wrestle with the world title with no contract. They let Cody Rhodes hold the TNT title with no contract. So, I mean, anything's possible in AEW land.
And you notice he hadn't really been bringing it up recently.
But the name of the next pay-per-view is World's End, and it's in his hometown. And his contract situations. Is that still up in the air? We don't know. It could be the World's End for the devil.
Good. I don't know. Okay. So let me differentiate those then. Those are two different predictions. The prediction is MJF signs with WWE. The extremely bold, probably not going to happen Christmas prediction is Raw after WrestleMania.
Be huge. A huge moment.
It would.
They need heels.
And
they need heels.
Yeah. And it's in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure the Raw after WrestleMania.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it is. Or either that or it's really close.
Oh, they were in Philly.
Oh, never. I'm thinking about the Raw after Royal Rumble. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So
I don't know where it is.
So you're saying that he's going to debut at the Raw at the Rumble?
Nah, I don't think so. If he's going to debut, he'd probably just debut at the Rumble or at WrestleMania. But I think due to the contract extension, it's Raw after Mania. And I was going to say that because the Raw after Rumble is in Atlanta, and I was going to say you have new world champion Cody Rhodes, and his first heel challenger is MJF.
That would make him. That would put him as a main event guy instantly if he did. It's a bold claim, man, but the way 2023 went is not out of the realm of possibility.
You know what they say about wrestling? Never say never.
Well, we're gonna say never. And say goodnight to this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Follow us on social media. And dang, Micah, I've ruined your spot, man. Go ahead.
I tried to let you close it out. Thank you for the continued support. Make sure to go check out our interview from Brooks Jensen. Make sure to check us out on social media at Scoop Slam Pod. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas. We will be back with a couple watch alongs, so you'll probably hear from us between now and then if you choose to listen to them. And let the vacation begin. Have a good one.